every image for the longest time. The difference now is that anyone with any skill level can simply type in the words, put Dawn Neeson in a Millwall shirt, and the AI will do it for them. That's the only skill you need.
I mean, we're having fun with it today, and that someone did do that genuinely as a joke, and mate did that as a joke. But there is a side to it. I mean, I'm old enough and ugly enough to do whatever you want. I don't care. But young women seeing that and you know, put her in a bikini, etc., etc.
Yeah, and there are some really, really nasty examples of it. The question is, though, is it the fault of the AI? Because that's a tool, it can do anything, right? Or is it the fault of the user, the individual who makes the illegal or disgraceful request?
Well, let us know what you think about that one, because we are talking about that. And we're obviously talking about pubs as well, because how important are they? Could they disappear by 2050? Talking to Kemi Badenoch live about that and the campaign to save pubs, also to farmers. And why does the government just seem to hate every single one of us?
Big questions.
Yeah. So get involved at gbnews.com/your say, all of that, or you can scan the QR code thing. Yeah, I can never point at it. It's somewhere down there. Scan that and get involved in the conversation. It's all coming up after the news with Tatiana Sanchez.
Dawn, thank you very much and good afternoon. The top stories. Serial rapists David Carrick and Cliff Mitchell were among more than 130 Metropolitan Police officers and staff wrongly hired or allowed to keep working as vetting was relaxed in a recruitment drive, according to a new review. Thousands of recruits joined the force without undergoing proper checks as bosses abandoned national guidelines amid efforts to meet the Tory government's policy to recruit 20,000 officers in England and Wales. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood called the failings a dereliction of the Met's duty to keep London safe, as she ordered the police inspectorate to carry out an urgent independent probe. 26-year-old Mitchell, who was given a life sentence in 2024 for attacks on 2 victims over 9 years, was initially rejected from the force because of a previous allegation of child rape. But a vetting panel aimed at reducing disproportionality towards ethnic minority groups overturned that decision, and he joined the force in August 2020. Assistant Commissioner Rachel Williams said we are being open and transparent about past vetting and recruitment practices that led, in some cases, to unsuitable people joining the Met. We found that some historical practices did not meet the strengthened hiring and vetting standards we have today. We identified these issues ourselves and have fixed them quickly while making sure any risk to the public has been properly and effectively managed. Sir Keir Starmer has set out his position on Greenland in a call with the US President Donald Trump, Downing Street says, in a call that included a discussion about the interception of the Bella 1 tanker, which involved US and UK military forces. The UK confirmed it supported a US operation to seize a Russian-flagged oil tanker in the North Atlantic, deploying an RAF aircraft and naval assets. The vessel was believed to be transporting sanctioned Iranian oil bound for Russia. Meanwhile, the US also seized a second oil tanker in the Caribbean Sea, labelling it a stateless, sanctioned dark fleet motor tanker. Defence Secretary John Healey said the operation demonstrated the UK's commitment to upholding maritime security. Elsewhere, protests have taken place in Minneapolis after the fatal shooting of a 37-year-old woman by a US immigration agent. Local officials rejected the Trump administration's account that it was self-defense. The Department of Homeland Security said the woman, Renee Nicole Good, was a violent rioter who tried to run over immigration and customs enforcement agents. But Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said this was an agent recklessly using power, telling ICE officials to leave the city.
We collectively are going to do everything possible to get to the bottom of this. We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is to ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
In other news, furious pub owners are threatening to go on strike over what they see as crippling tax hikes that could push thousands of pubs to the brink. Some landlords say the industry is heading towards a full-scale day of industrial action early next week. Meanwhile, Kemi Badenoch has vowed to scrap business rates for thousands of British pubs as she accused the government of treating them like cash cows to milk. The Conservative leader told the Daily Telegraph her party has identified billions of pounds of savings from things like bringing down the welfare bill and reducing the size of the civil service. Labour MP for York Central Rachel Maskell argues that many businesses in her area will have to close down as a spike in business rates looms. This is in part due to the end of COVID-era business rates relief in April, announced by Chancellor Rachel Reeves in the November budget, having previously been scaled back from 75% to 40%. Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride spoke to GB News this morning.
The reason why there's that huge financial stress is because of the decisions that the government's taken. So it's not just about sort of beer duty, for example. It's not just about business rates going up astronomically. It's about national insurance having gone up on the people that are employed within pubs as well. All of these things are squeezing pubs and their margins to the point where many of them are ceasing to be viable. So what we really need to address is that fundamental issue of how do we create an economy in which we don't weigh down businesses with all these costs and all this extra taxation and allow them to go out there and grow and expand and employ people and grow our economy.
Former Premier League referee David Coote has avoided jail as he was sentenced for possessing a child abuse video. The footage was Category A, the most serious kind, and was found by police on one of his devices. Nottingham Crown Court heard it showed a 15-year-old boy in school uniform. He was sentenced to 9 months in prison, suspended for 2 years. Coote was charged in February last year with making an indecent image of a child and pleaded guilty in October. And the Met Police has issued weather warnings for snow across the UK as Storm Goretti closes in on Britain. Yellow snow warnings now cover huge areas of East Anglia, the Midlands, the North and South West, as well as almost all of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. A more severe amber snow warning has also been issued for much of central Wales, the Midlands and parts of the North, with up to 30 centimetres of snow predicted. And those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more news from me in half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.3440 and €1.1508. The price of gold is £3,293.91 per ounce. And the FTSE 100 is at 10,018 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 11 minutes past midday. Now, outraged pub bosses are threatening strike action in protest at rising taxes announced in Rachel Reeves' latest budget.
Pub landlord Andy Lennox, who previously led moves to ban Labour MPs from some venues, raised the prospect of industrial action.
Reeves and Keir Starmer don't sit up and listen. This is only going to get bigger. We are pushing into industrial action. There's protest plans for the end of the month. We are going to go further and further and further. You know, we employ 3 million people. We're the third biggest employer in hospitality in the UK. And we generate 60 billion in taxation. They have to sit up and listen to us, and we're not going to go away until they do.
Well, the Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch also vowed to slash the average pub's energy bills by £1,000 under plans to reverse Labour's raid on the local.
OK, so let's now talk to GB News political editor Christopher Hope to find out exactly what's going on here. Christopher, good to see you. I mean, obviously, we all have a vested interest in saving our pubs. I mean, it's not just about alcohol. They are the hub of many communities. They're very good for loneliness, certainly for older people, especially in rural areas. So how is Kemi Badenoch proposing to save the pub?
Morning, Tom, and morning, Dawn. That's right. I think pubs have a unique position in our society. They support these local communities. You have a post office, a school, a doctor's surgery, a pub. Those are the 4 legs on the stool, I think, in any area in this country. You take one of those things away, that stool gets wobbly and the community can start to collapse in terms of having local support for local people. This is now recognised, it seems, by Kemi Badenoch, the Tory leader. She's saying she'll wipe away any business rates required to be paid for by pubs. This is being welcomed by pubs, of course, because of two things: a change of valuation announced in the budget, and the end of COVID support means many are seeing as much as a 3/4 increase in their business rates over the next 3 years. The Tories say they'll also use savings from the benefit budget and cutting back on green energy measures to slash pubs' energy bills by £1,000 a year. They see this as a way of supporting these vital community infrastructures. Kevin Badenoch says today in an article in the Telegraph, these pubs knit our towns and villages together. They are the fabric of our nation, she says. They're being treated as a cash cow to milk instead of places to protect. And I wonder that's what's happening here. The Treasury, of course, have a duty to pull in money from wherever they can find it in the economy to try and support public services. But pubs have a different position, I think, in our society. Now, Labour MPs are also concerned. Around 30 of them have written to Rachel Reeves saying they're worried about what they call these unprecedented challenges facing pubs. I've spoken to one of the organisers today. They are hoping to hear something from the government in short order. On Monday, I spoke to Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister. He says they're looking at what other measures they can pull together. That could involve increasing the licensing hours so pubs can trade for longer. But that won't be enough, I don't think, for the rebels. Simply increasing the time you can be in business won't really help these huge costs at the end of the day for these pubs. Number 10 have given a statement out moments ago in a lobby briefing to journalists. They make clear that they think that they are looking at what they can do. Number 10 says this: they recognise the vital role pubs play and recognise the challenges they face. We are engaging with the industry, listening to their concerns and finding out how best to help them. The government also said they've found £4.3 billion to help pubs, but when asked, is another U-turn coming, will they take further action on business rates, they say they wouldn't accept that characterisation. But any measures on business rates for pubs will be seen in those terms after the U-turn on the family farm tax, the reinstatement of the money for pensioners, the winter fuel allowance, and the failure to cut the benefits bill in that vote last July. So it looks like things are moving, but will it be enough for these rebels? I think also these 30 Labour MPs are now piling in behind or in support of further measures to help these pubs. That could prove crucial in coming days and weeks.
Well, I mean, all power to them, but also it does tell a story, doesn't it, about the lack of power of the Prime Minister. I mean, he can be buffeted around by MPs despite his massive majority. Well, Chris Hope, thanks Tom, indeed for joining us there live from Westminster.
Yeah, OK. So now joining us now is someone at the sharp end of all this, a landlord of the Horseshoe in Chipping Sodbury, Matt Lewis. Matt, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. Matt, what does all this mean for you? How is your business going?
It's still going. That's the main thing. Ultimately, we've had to increase costs. We've had to decrease some luxury services like live music, unfortunately. We are still going at this moment, but ultimately, unless there's some sort of massive U-turn from the government, it will be a massive cost that's going to be passed on to all of my wonderful customers.
Now, to explain for people that might not have been following this very closely since the budget, the government says that it's actually cutting rates for pubs, but the amount that pubs are paying is going to be shooting up through the roof. Make it make sense.
See, that's what I find is so insulting. It's 2 budgets ago, she said she was cutting duty by 1 pence a pint, and in the next breath, she also says she's raising minimum wage. She's increasing national insurance and decreasing the threshold. And this time, she's saying the same. She's saying she's cutting the multiplier rate, and yeah, she did that, but she also knew very well that the business rate itself was increasing. So that is just it's a load of rubbish, and it's insulting because they think they're appealing to people who don't know much about the pub industry, and quite rightly so. Why should they? But to appeal to them and make them think that they're helping us when in reality they're really not. And like the mention of increased opening hours, most pubs I speak to on a regular basis, they close early. Nobody needs increased opening hours. That's just ridiculous and absurd.
Matt, if these proposals of business rates do go ahead and there is no U-turn from the government, and you know they have done it before, so we don't know that that's not the case. But if this does go ahead, how long will your pub last?
So I'm going to hold out because we have to. I've got some decent backers. There's a lot of pubs. There's estimating 11,000 pubs to close this year, which is extraordinary. That, as I believe one of your other guests mentioned, it could be a £60 billion contribution pubs make to the economy. Well, a quarter of that essentially go in. You got supporting over 2 million jobs, a quarter of that going. And also what's not been touched upon is the fact that pubs raise an estimated £100 million for charity every year. And that's, again, something that will hit people. I've got like 4 or 5 charity pots on my bar. The manager does fantastic charity nights. We do a lot for charity, and a lot of other pubs do the same. I think if we don't see a U-turn, if we don't see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel, then I know that there's a few other pubs who just like mine, a few other like-minded people that are organising some sort of fight back, if you will.
Matt, very finally and quickly, if Rachel Reeves turned up at the door of your pub, would you invite her in for a chat and try and sort it out, or would you slam the door in her face?
I've had mixed feelings about the both. I'm not politically minded, but I will say that I don't know. It depends what frame of mood I'm in. I'd love to be able to say I teach you all about economics and accountancy and what happens when you don't have enough money. You lose these things. But I have a part of me just wants to tell her to do one.
Well, Matt Lewis, landlord of the Horseshoe in Chipping Sodbury, thanks so much for joining us and talking through this difficult time for pubs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you are near there, pop in for a pint and support Matt's pub. By the sounds of it, sounds a good one. OK, now it is time for the Great British Giveaway, and 2026 could be on us with an incredible £85,000 to be won. Let's hope it goes to a pub, eh? Here are the details.
It's a brand new year and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. £85,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year the best yet.
And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate.
Imagine what the coming year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank.
You can have the complete Lapland experience all in one place by visiting the Northern Lights Village.
Or just safe in the knowledge that this year is on us.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck. Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more still to come.
Indeed. Weight loss jabs under scrutiny after a major study finds users regain weight 4 times faster than dieters once they stop, raising questions over whether the injections need to be taken for the rest of your life.
But after the break, serious concerns over police vetting after it emerged thousands of officers were hired without proper checks, including individuals convicted of serious crimes.
All of that and much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. Don't go too far. We'll see you soon.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
I think it's just good, honest, humble food And yeah, as people get away from the ultra-processed stuff and get back to their roots, and what's better than a good jacket potato?
Do you know what? Sales of jacket spuds have gone through the roof. The big potatoes at Waitrose. There's been a 178% increase in people looking at recipes. And I just think it's wholesome, it's affordable, it's comfortable, you know, it makes you feel good, it's back to basics. That, I think, at the moment, sums up the nation.
I think very much it being affordable as well, with the climate we're living in at the moment, it definitely helps knowing, you know, you're putting food on the table for a reasonable price, and people appreciate that. And it's good, honest food. You can feed your kids, and kids are seeing it on social media, and they're getting excited about it as well. So they're not like, you know, obviously everyone sees all the big brands, and now there's all these, you know, jacket potato people out there, and we're giving them something that's healthy, and they want to eat it. And I think the parents appreciate that.
And Ben, I've seen your videos. They queue around the block to get to you. If people are in the mood to cook a potato tonight, of course, we don't want to affect your sales. What is your sort of top of the pop spud recipe? Give it to us.
Oh, it's all about variety. It's picking the right potato is really important. Get a nice melody or a cara or culture or something like that. Nice and big. In the oven, if you can. Hour and 20. Get a nice crispy skin on there. Loads of butter, loads of cheese, and a nice curry on top or something. That's my go-to.
Ooh. Now, that was a final little curveball there you threw at the last minute there, Ben.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Like this game.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 25 minutes past 12. What was that, Dawn?
Nothing. I'll tell you later, Tom.
OK. Well, thousands of officers in Britain's biggest police force were not properly vetted during a major recruitment drive.
Yeah, this is the most appalling story. It is. According to a new review, senior Metropolitan Police figures ignored national guidelines to fast-track over 4,500 recruits.
Well, as a result, unsuitable staff, including 2 serial rapists, were allowed to join the force.
Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood says the findings show a dereliction of the Met's duty to keep London safe.
Reading. I mean, how on earth did these people slip through the net? Or was there a net?
You know, good afternoon, both of you. There wasn't a net, and they didn't slip through it. They were invited in. I think they were pulled across the table at this rate. There were... During this time, as you've said, between 2019 and 23, there were about 5,000 officers that were recruited without going through the basic checks, which are the Ministry of Defence checks for officers who are joining, no references taken, and officers that were transferring or rejoining the Met, they didn't have any checks either. Now, Met says that's due to political pressure. I think is poor leadership, recklessness. And you know what? They're failing the public, and something needs to be seriously done, because here we are again, and, you know, 2026, and we've got another story. And this is one of the most horrific stories, simply because lots of people have been let in, but there's 134 officers that were let in through no checks at all, and they've gone on to commit horrendous crimes, but also drug offences, affray, racism, and many, many other offences. And, it's the public are let down continuously, and we've got victims. These are real consequences. Public don't need to be worried about, police officers should be protecting them. They're now having to think, who's actually wearing the uniform? More criminals, it seems, are wearing the uniform than they should be in today's society.
One example here is PC Cliff Mitchell, who was recruited despite having been accused of raping a child. His application was initially rejected, but decision overturned. He was later convicted of 13 counts of rape, including 6 against a child. How on earth did this man get into the police?
Well, he got in. He's absolutely horrendous, and he was a serving police officer driving around. He got in because nobody really carried the checks. They wanted to recruit people because of this uplift programme that was designed by Boris Johnson and the Conservatives at the time, and everything else just went wayside.
I mean, this is sometimes put down to sort of target culture, the 20,000 extra police officers that everyone remembers from the election campaign. But why should it necessarily follow that because there was political pressure to recruit a lot more police officers, that the standards would have to slip? I mean, one doesn't necessarily follow from the other. Ultimately, it's up to the Metropolitan Police to say who they want to be police officers and to do the requisite checks. Why was it considered impossible to do these basic background checks for these officers, even though there was, of course, pressure to recruit?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Public safety shouldn't compromise public safeguards to protecting the public, and they failed miserably. I think at the end of the day, the people that made those decisions, so there were certain people that failed the vetting. I mean, there was no vetting, so I don't know how they failed, but then there was an internal panel that was set up that overruled the initial decisions. And I think the senior officers on those internal panels, probably still serving, need to be held accountable. It's all about accountability, building trust. Well, you can't build it when those senior officers are still serving. They need to be put under discipline. They need to go through gross misconduct, and they need to answer the very questions that you've asked me, because the families of these victims, and there are multiple victims in this from Cliff Mitchell, need answers. And certainly if I was sitting at home and I was a family member, and certainly those young victims, I would be very unhappy, and I would be asking for real questions to be answered. We don't need another review, and it's great that Shabana Mahmood has said we'll have another review, yet more recommendations. We need concrete action. And I would again call for a royal commission into policing. This has to stop now, because they're putting people's lives at risk. And that's not dramatic, that's not overstating the fact, because if you look into those two horrendous cases and many others that followed, because we've had a fray, we've had racism, we've had public order, drug offences, these are people in uniform.
Nusra, obviously, thoughts also turn to Sarah Everard and the horrors that Wayne Couzens inflicted on that poor woman who was doing absolutely nothing wrong. Just very quickly, though, in 2021, Dame Cressida Dick, who was head of the Met, set diversity targets, declaring she wanted 40% of all officers recruited be from ethnic minority backgrounds. Do you think that was put before the safety of women and girls in London?
Look, if you're saying that diversity is about misconduct, this isn't about diversity, because this is about criminal behaviour. This is about abuse. This is about corruption. Those things are not diversity. And if you look at the 134 officers that, that finally were investigated, there were all sorts of people in that group. So I think labelling it as purely diversity is a misconception, and it distracts from the issue. This isn't a diversity issue. This is about a bad policing issue. This is about senior officers making bad decisions that impact on public.
OK, well, Nusrat Mehtab, thanks indeed for joining us and talking through this shocking story. Former Metropolitan Police Superintendent, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, the Met literally recruited someone whose nickname was the rapist. In any case, in response to the review, Assistant Metropolitan Police Commissioner Rachel Williams has said,
in publishing this report today, we're being open and transparent about past vetting and recruitment practices that led in some cases to unsuitable people joining the Met.
We found that some historical practices did not meet the strengthened hiring and vetting standards we have today. We identified these issues ourselves and have fixed them quickly while making sure any risk to the public has been properly and effectively managed.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Still plenty more to come on today's programme. But first, let's get an update on those latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. The top stories: serial rapist David Carrick and Cliff Mitchell were among more than 130 Metropolitan Police officers and staff wrongly hired or allowed to keep working as vetting was relaxed in a recruitment drive, according to a new review.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. It's now 34 minutes past 12, seeing you a little bit earlier than normally, but there's still much more to come, and that's why we're here to tell you.
Yes, indeed. Weight loss jabs are under scrutiny after a major study found users regain weight 4 times faster than dieters once they stop, raising questions over whether the injections need to be taken for life.
Well, all of that, and indeed more to come, this is GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Hello, very good day to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Storm Goretti's already started to push its way in and it's bringing some wet, yes, but also very windy and snowy weather as we go through the rest of today. The feature itself is deepening rapidly. It's going through explosive cyclogenesis as it heads towards the UK, which is why it's going to bring such wet, such windy and snowy weather, particularly to the southern half of the UK. Further north, it's actually largely dry through today, just some showers here or there and across parts of Scotland. They could be a bit wintry. Also a good deal of sunshine, some clearer skies across northern parts of Scotland, but a chilly day, temperatures struggling to get above freezing in some places, milder further south and west, but obviously feeling pretty unpleasant with the wet, the windy and the wintry for some weather pushing its way in. Through this evening, it's largely dry into the day across much of Scotland, but some coastal showers and they could still be wintry. Early frost and temperatures continuing to plummet overnight with largely clear skies here. Cloudier as we head further south, and then we really feel the impacts of Storm Goretti across much of, well, the Midlands, Wales. Here the rain falling as snow, some significant snow building up. We're talking 20-30 centimetres in places with an amber warning out. Also strong winds across parts of the southwest, in particular gusts of around 100 miles per hour. It could really be a very windy event indeed. The feature itself does start to clear away towards the east, but nonetheless an unsettled night to come for many of us, just staying dry towards the north across parts of Scotland. You may be wondering what all the fuss is about. As we go through tomorrow, eastern areas staying very wet, rainfall building up, and that could cause some issues, some localised flooding and travel disruption. Drier further west, but still some showery outbreaks of rain, but some glimmers of sunshine towards the west and winds markedly lighter than today. Temperatures still on the low side, especially towards the north.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. Together, we have built something truly extraordinary.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M74, southbound traffic remains closed between junction 14 and junction 16 after multiple road incidents, with recovery and emergency services on scene. In Wiltshire, the A303 eastbound is heavily congested between the A360 and the A345, with delays of around 30 minutes. Also in Welshpool, the A458 is affected both ways after an incident on Church Street at the Cross, and local diversions are in place. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast and Chiltern Railways warn Storm Goretti may impact services and journey times today. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 37 minutes past 12. Now, experts warn that people who stay thin on these fat jabs might need to take them for life.
Yeah, this is a new study and it reveals that users coming off the drugs pile back the pounds on in under 2 years. On average, users gained around £1 a month after quitting, with many projected to have regained all the weight they lost between 17 and 20 months. This compares to a much slower gain in weight for people that lost their weight by, dieting and exercise, the old-fashioned way, if you like.
But the question remains, are these weight loss drugs a waste of time. Well, joining us is the director of All About Obesity, Sarah LeBrock. Sarah, I suppose to some extent this is just research to show that these drugs work. If you take them, you get skinny, you stop eating so much, but if you stop taking them, your hunger comes back and you eat more.
Yeah, it's basically just reaffirming, like you say, that the mechanism of action of the medication, which is fundamentally it's regulating or kind of allowing the gut hormones to stabilise. So it's enabling people to then not feel as hungry, feel fuller quicker, and have that slower kind of digestion of food going on. So when that gets taken away, obviously that dysregulation goes back again, because it's not something that you can just change for life with a medication and then hope that that's going to stay when that medication gets taken away. A good example of this for people to understand is like blood pressure medication, for instance. So when you're taking blood pressure medication, your blood pressure comes down, but then if you came off it, your blood pressure would go back up again. It's the same with the obesity medication. So I think we've kind of been lulled into this thing of thinking these medications are helping people lose weight, which they are, as if like you just need to lose weight and that's the answer. It's not, absolutely not the answer. It's about actually the physiological and the biological elements in someone's body that are being regulated.
But if we look, sorry to interrupt you, Sarah. If we look at the example that you gave with blood pressure, I mean, people happily take statins for life. People will take statins, just a little pill each morning, very happily to live healthy, long lives. It looks like we're going to get a pill form of semaglutide or this sort of Ozempic drug is going to be available in a pill form in short order. It'll become cheaper. Would it be such a bad thing if, like statins, some people just took a little pill each morning and that kept them at a healthy weight?
No, I absolutely don't think it is. I think lifelong treatment for a chronic condition is very common. And this is what obesity is, a chronic long-term condition. And so what we need to do is just reframe how we think about obesity. So at the moment, we're focusing on it being like an aesthetic thing and the way someone looks. But actually, it's about health indicators. So yeah, if you have to take medication for life to be able to be healthier and to live in a smaller body, that's not a bad thing, because we're improving people's health. So I don't see why there is such challenge around it, really. So I absolutely think we need to start shifting our thinking to think people will be on medications lifelong. So how can we support people to make sure they're making nutritional food choices and they're moving more and they're thinking about their mindset a bit more and the kind of other lifestyle things that they can modify to support them with the medication? That's the bit we need to be focusing on more, I think.
As I say, Sarah, these drugs were originally introduced to tackle things like type 2 diabetes, which we know, are the main reason they're prescribed on the NHS. But many, many people now are just buying them independently online and without necessarily having the right counselling or, as you just pointed out, the right instructions on how to, manage your diet, use nutrition, use exercise, as well as taking the drugs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm very open about the fact that I'm taking one of these medications. And the thing I'm very mindful of, despite knowing what I do know, being a scientist and being in this space, is that I can sometimes go and only eat one meal a day because I'm just not hungry. So I really need to think about, well, what am I fueling my body with in that one meal a day? Because actually we're then seeing malnourishment coming through and people losing hair. And so we do really need to focus on the health element and the nutrition and making sure people are fueling their bodies correctly, because that's not happening enough right now.
There's also the struggle, I suppose. A lot of people are getting these medications not through the most legitimate sources because they aren't so available through the most legitimate sources. I mean, at what point are we? I mean, Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, has spoken about this as part of the solution. I mean, looking at America, where it looks like all of this stuff grows on trees. You can't go through a major city in America without seeing massive adverts for Ozempic and Manjaro and all the rest of them. When is that going to come here?
Well, this is what, I do a lot of work around advocating for access and looking at the policy space, so working with the government, etc. And they are beginning to start asking more questions and looking at how they can manage this. Fundamentally, it comes down to funding and money and the fact that there just isn't the cost, the money there to provide for the medications, and it's not just even that, there's no services set up. So we know that only half the country have access to weight management services right now. So some of the medications can only be prescribed through those services. So you've already got hurdles that you've got to get through, and then you don't have capacity. Then the NHS hasn't got the capacity to support people to access the medication. So there's lots of things that the government need to step in and actually get better and right so that people can access these medications, because it shouldn't be something we have to pay for. You don't have to pay for your blood pressure medication, so why should you have to pay for this?
OK, Sarah, Sarah, thank you very much. That's Director of All About Obesity, Sarah LeBrock there. Thank you.
Well, we're now bracing for heavy snowfall and strong winds. Yes, it's Storm Goretti.
And here to tell us more is GB News Yorkshire reporter Anna Riley. Anna.
Good afternoon, Dawn and Tom. Yes, it's the calm before Storm Goretti. Britain bracing for wind gusts of up to 90 miles an hour and also snow up to a foot or 12 inches in some areas. We're here in South Yorkshire, which is going to be hit by an amber snow alert at 8 o'clock for snow this evening. We can see the viaduct there, which trains go over, but trains between Sheffield and Manchester will be cancelled from 6 o'clock this evening due to these weather conditions that we're getting. And the Met Office has issued an amber warning for heavy snow from Thursday evening into Friday, as well as covering Yorkshire. It covers parts of Wales, the Midlands as well. Elsewhere, there's a period of strong winds that's expected to affect southern England and Wales, especially towards the southwest of England, where an amber warning has been issued for Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. There'll be a danger to life from large waves and debris being thrown onto beachfront roads and properties. And there's also yellow weather warnings in place for Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and other parts of northern and southern England as well. Now, with this weather, it's going to cause disruption, as we say, to travel, disruption to the roads as well. So there's been warnings, check before you travel due to this. And this weather going into Friday morning as well. There's still a UK health and security amber health alert in place until Sunday as well, due to these weather conditions that we're seeing across Britain.
Thank you, Anna Riley. That's GB News Yorkshire and Humber reporter Anna Riley standing in a very, very unsnowy field.
The calm before the storm. Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Plenty more to come.
Yes, the government's pledge to back British farmers. We'll speak directly to farmers about whether they actually feel the government are listening to them.
But if you're in search of some holiday sun, perhaps you want to escape Storm Goretti, well, here's the weather forecast in Europe.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
The cold winds and the snow not just confined to the UK. In and around the Mediterranean, pretty blustery and some heavy snow likely over the Alps. First really big dumps for some here of the winter. Some showery rain for the Algarve. It's generally fine in the Canaries. Showery rain moving into Italy and across Croatia and further south too for Greece. We'll continue to see the weather pretty mixed in Italy with further showers and some gusty cold winds to come. The weather remains pretty fine in Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Bowl. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless.
I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
happen.
Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's coming up to 10 to 1. Now, farmers have been gathering in Oxford city centre today, where they've been protesting outside the Oxford Farming Conference.
Yes, OK. Protests are led by the Berkshire Farmers Group, who say the government's revised 2.5 million threshold on inheritance doesn't go far enough for many family farms.
Well, the Environment Secretary, Emma Reynolds, has set out a new era of partnership between the government and farmers, or at least that's what she hopes, aimed at boosting profitability.
OK, so now let's talk to GB News national reporter Jack Carson, who's there for us. Jack, how's it going?
Yeah, thank you. So some of the farmers starting to head home now after their protest this morning, of course, all the way through the Environment Secretary Emma Reynolds' speech this morning. They were blowing their horns. You could see it, hear it in the auditorium, hear it all inside the conference, where the venue where the conference is taking place. You can still see some of these tractors, of course, still down here in the windows, signs saying "Farmers, not Starmer." Plenty of people making their voices heard today here in Oxford. This is all on the High Street here. Of course, have been doing go slow protests, blowing their horns, making their voices heard. But let's speak to Sally Ann, who's here today. Why have you wanted to be here today?
Well, I've wanted to be here for a slightly different reason. I'm involved, obviously, with the inheritance tax, but what I'm interested in is that we keep our small family farms, because I'm very much about biodiversity in the countryside and adaptations, and also the sort of constant need to be sorry, policeman there, our need to actually make sure that we are sustainable into the future. So our small family farms are where we've got a larger range of biodiversity. They're also where we've got our diversity of breeds of animals as well as crops and everything else.
So things like the SFI, the Sustainable Farming Incentive, which is going to be reformed by this government, one of the things that Emma Reynolds was talking about today, how it's going to be simpler. They say the government fairer, more easy to access. Is that a good thing for you? Do you think that goes far enough with what you're concerned about?
I think it's absolutely a good thing, yeah, definitely. The more they can do, the better. There's always room for more. You know, that's very true. And the problem you've got with a lot of these frameworks is that the farming around the UK is so different and so diverse that the framework doesn't necessarily fit everybody perfectly. So there's always going to be a want for more. You know, we are trying to make ourselves one of the best food production countries in the world, to be honest with you. British farming is, you know, we have many more restrictions on us than many other countries, and we are concerned about food coming in from abroad that doesn't follow the regulations that we have here. So it is about trying to protect our British farming and our small family farms.
Yeah, one of the things the Secretary of State said was that ultimately this British government still does believe that food security is national security. Do you think the government are doing enough to prove that that is the case?
I think they do need to continue doing more. Definitely. We've seen the inheritance tax and move on that, and that has been really positive. That's what we wanted, and that's great.
Does that go far enough?
No. But it's a good move in the right direction. That's the thing. They are actually moving in that direction, and I think we do have to be positive about that. That's really important. But there is always room for more, definitely.
So what for you are some of the things that this government could do that might be quite easy, that would make a difference to farmers?
Oh, there's a lot to be done, really. Protect our markets. That's really important. Make sure that we don't have food coming in from abroad, especially food that doesn't meet the requirements that were required here in this country for our own production. We want to make sure that our farmers have a fair price. They're producing food sustainably, environmentally friendly, you know, all these incredible things that's going on in the British countryside, but that needs a fair price. And the supermarkets need to step up and start giving the farmers a better price for the food, definitely.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, of course, and giving as those thoughts here in Oxford. Of course, some of the tractors now starting to go, but they've certainly made their voices here at the Oxford Farming Conference today.
Jack, thank you very much. That's GB News national reporter Jack Carson there for us at the Farmers' Conference there. Look, in theory, they have shifted on this.
They have.
But however, if we spoke to a farmer earlier on who was single, didn't have a family, so he's still stuck with this 2.5 million inheritance tax, which if you've got a farm and you've got all that in very expensive equipment, it's hardly anything.
Well, this is why agricultural property relief existed in the first place, because farms aren't like any other business. No farmer is going in there because they are going to become a millionaire, right? I mean, like, sure, the land value on paper is worth, in many cases, a lot of money, but the amount that is actually made by the farmers is a pittance. They are custodians of the land, and the tax system used to acknowledge that and support that.
OK, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Don't go too far. We'll be back very soon after this short break for the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good day to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Storm Goretti's already started to push its way in, and it's bringing some wet, yes, but also very windy and snowy weather as we go through the rest of today. The feature itself is deepening rapidly. It's going through explosive cyclogenesis as it heads towards the UK, which is why it's going to bring such wet, such windy and snowy weather, particularly to the southern half of the UK. Further north, it's actually largely dry through today, just some showers here or there and across parts of Scotland. They could be a bit wintry. Also a good deal of sunshine, some clearer skies across northern parts of Scotland, but a chilly day, temperatures struggling to get above freezing in some places, milder further south and west, but obviously feeling pretty unpleasant with the wet, the windy and the wintry for some weather pushing its way in. Through this evening, it's largely dry into the day across much of Scotland, but some coastal showers and they could still be wintry. Early frost and temperatures continuing to plummet overnight with largely clear skies here. Cloudier as we head further south, and then we really feel the impacts of Storm Goretti across much of, well, the Midlands, Wales. Here the rain falling as snow, some significant snow building up. We're talking 20-30 centimetres in places with an amber warning out. Also strong winds across parts of the southwest, in particular gusts of around 100 miles per hour. It could really be a very windy event indeed. The feature itself does start to clear away towards the east, but nonetheless an unsettled night to come for many of us, just staying dry towards the north across parts of Scotland. You may be wondering what all the fuss is about. As we go through tomorrow, eastern areas staying very wet, rainfall building up, and that could cause some issues, some localised flooding and travel disruption. Drier further west, but still some showery outbreaks of rain, but some glimmers of sunshine towards the west, and winds markedly lighter than today. Temperatures still on the low side, especially towards the north.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's a brand new year and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, here at Holbrook Animal Rescue, they're being forced to relocate, and if they can't find a suitable alternative, they'll even be at risk of closing. And I've seen the amazing work that they've done here. Just earlier we met a dog called Essie who has just found her almost possible forever home literally in the time that we were here. She only came here a couple of days ago, so it's really great work that they do for all animals. Like this one here, this is Torn, he's just a puppy, and I'm also joined by Laura Santini, who runs the shelter. Tell us a bit about Torn here.
So this is just a little fellow that came in, no fault of his own. The people just couldn't cope with him. So he's lively, and he's a half shepherd, half Labrador.
What kind of impact would the possible relocation or even closure have on dogs like this one and all the other animals you have here?
Well, simply that we wouldn't be able to take them. So if the next one comes up like this and we've got nowhere to go, then we just can't take them, obviously. So what happens to them at that point, I don't know, because we don't just take beautiful pups like this. We take the old and the sick and the dogs that other people don't necessarily want to take. So I can't imagine what would happen to some of them. So I don't know. It's sad. It's just a sad situation.
And you've had quite a lot of support from the community here in trying to relocate. What's been there for you in terms of support?
They're absolutely incredible. They've sent 1,000 letters into the council to try and support us and help us and let everyone see the light that, you know, you do actually need animal sanctuaries around. You can't shut them all down. We're always getting phone calls saying how much people like what we do and hope we get our plan in appeal when it goes through and things like that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 1 o'clock on Thursday, the 8th of January already. I'm Dawn Neeson.
And I'm Tom Harwood. Well, Britain's pubs pushed to the brink as landlords threaten strike action now over Labour's tax hikes, while the Conservatives unveil plans they say could save Britain's boozers from extinction. We'll hear from Kemi Badenoch, the leader of His Majesty's most loyal opposition, live.
And meanwhile, Scotland Yard admits thousands of officers were hired without proper vetting, allowing rapists, racists and violent offenders to wear the badge. Is trust in the police in tatters?
Now, you're about to see some distressing images. A woman shot dead by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, with President Trump backing the officer. But the city's mayor strongly disputes the account as video of the incident fuels a growing stateside political storm.
And the Environment Secretary promises a new partnership with farmers today in Oxford, unveiling reforms aimed at boosting profitability, but protesting farmers outside think otherwise.
What do you say to your victims, Hugh Edwards?
Well, Martin Clunes will portray the disgraced BBC News presenter and disgraceful sex offender Hugh Edwards in a new Channel 5 drama. But is it all too soon?
And gearing up for Goretti, Britain is braced for the latest storm where 12 inches of snow and 90-mile-per-hour gusts are expected to batter the UK.
It is the calm before Storm Goretti. It's the first named storm of the year in the UK, and there's 2 amber weather warnings and multiple yellow weather warnings across Britain.
Now, Tom.
Yeah.
I've got a problem.
Okay.
I've got lots of problems actually, but the main problem I'm having, how long have you got? The main problem at the moment is we know there's a storm coming in. Okay. We talk about it a lot. We talk about the weather. We're British. We do that. But why have most of the train or many of the train companies cancelled all the services before anything bad happens? I mean, they're cancelling trains now for something that may or may not happen later on tonight.
Yeah.
Why do we do that?
I'm struggling to think why they would cancel a service now. I can understand why they might want to cancel a service right in the evening when the storm... No one wants a train derailed, no one wants to put people in harm's way, but I think there's a train from Cardiff to London, is it, that's been cancelled?
Yeah, from 2 p.m.
That's taking off at 2. Taking off, it's not an aeroplane. That's setting off. Setting off at 2. I mean, no one thinks the storm's going to hit at 2, and yet trains are being cancelled.
Why do we do this? Other European countries, I know it's a cliche, it's like, you know, they cope with it in Scandinavia, they use the weather, etc., etc., etc. However, why are we preempting it so much that we're just grinding to a halt before a snowflake has fallen?
Do you think some people might just want the day off work?
Perish the thought. What all those train drivers that have just been paid a big rise.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too political, isn't it? But why do we do that in this country? Let us know, gbnews.com/your say, have your say. Are we just snowflakes when it comes to snowflakes?
Although, can I just say, the beautiful viaduct behind Anna Riley there, you know, this grand Victorian piece of infrastructure, I mean, that would just be a boring, plain green field without that beautiful Victorian brick viaduct. And yet we think about HS2, sorry to bring it back to HS2.
Oh, God, he went there.
People complain so much about that train that they've put most of it in pointless tunnels so that no one has to look at the train. I think sometimes trains make fields look better. At least the Victorians knew how to do that.
Well, I mean, it was a very, very nice viaduct. And it looked lovely with snow over it. It looked like a Christmas card, won't it?
Yeah.
But there's nothing happening now, so don't cancel the trains now. Anyway, let us know what you think. Join in the conversation because we are here for you. Talk to you, gbnews.com/your say, or scan the QR code thingy down there somewhere.
Over there.
Oh.
By your left elbow.
So annoying sometimes, isn't he? In any case, someone who isn't annoying is Tatiana Sanchez, and she's got the headlines for you.
Dawn, thank you very much. The top stories this hour. Serial rapist David Carrick and Cliff Mitchell were among more than 130 Metropolitan Police officers and staff wrongly hired or allowed to keep working as vetting was relaxed in a recruitment drive, according to a new review. Thousands of recruits joined the force without undergoing proper checks as bosses abandoned national guidelines amid efforts to meet the Tory government's policy to recruit 20,000 police officers in England and Wales. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood called the failings a dereliction of the Met's duty to keep London safe as she ordered the police inspectorate to carry out an urgent independent probe. 26-year-old Mitchell, who was given a life sentence in 2024 for attacks on 2 victims over 9 years, was initially rejected from the force because of a previous allegation of child rape. But a vetting panel aimed at reducing disproportionality towards ethnic minority groups overturned the decision, and he joined the force in August 2020. Assistant Commissioner Rachel Williams said we're being open and transparent about past vetting and recruitment practices that led in some cases to unsuitable people joining the Met. We found that some historical practices didn't meet the strengthened hiring and vetting standards we have today. We identified these issues ourselves and have fixed them quickly while making sure any risk to the public has been properly and effectively managed. Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer has set out his position on Greenland in a call with the US President Donald Trump. Downing Street says in a call that included a discussion about the interception of the Bella 1 tanker, which involved US and UK military forces. The UK confirmed it supported a US operation to seize a Russian-flagged oil tanker in the North Atlantic, deploying an RAF aircraft and naval assets. The vessel was believed to be transporting sanctioned Iranian oil bound for Russia. Meanwhile, the US also seized a second oil tanker in the Caribbean Sea, labelling it as stateless sanctioned dark fleet motor tanker. Defence Secretary John Healey said the operation demonstrated the UK's commitment to upholding maritime security. Protests have taken place in Minneapolis after the fatal shooting of a 37-year-old woman by a US immigration agent. Local officials rejected the Trump administration's account that it was self-defense. The Department of Homeland Security said the woman, Renee Nicole Good, was a violent rioter who tried to run over immigration and customs enforcement agents. But Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said this was an agent recklessly using power, telling ICE officials to leave the city.
We collectively are going to do everything possible to get to the bottom of this. We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is to ICE, get out of Minneapolis.
Elsewhere, furious pub owners are threatening to go on strike over what they see as crippling tax hikes that could push thousands of pubs to the brink. Some landlords say the industry is heading towards a full-scale day of industrial action early next week. Meanwhile, Kemi Badenoch has vowed to scrap business rates for thousands of British pubs as she accused the government of treating them like cash cows to milk. The Conservative leader told the Daily Telegraph her party has identified billions of pounds of savings from things like bringing down the welfare bill and reducing the size of the civil service. Labour MP for York Central Rachel Maskell argues that many businesses in her area will have to close down as a spike in business rates looms. This is in part due to the end of a COVID-era business rates relief in April, announced by the Chancellor in the November budget, having previously been scaled back from 75% to 40%. Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride spoke to GB News.
The reason why there's that huge, it's not just about sort of beer duty, for example. It's not just about business rates going up astronomically. It's about national insurance having gone up on the people that are employed within pubs as well. All of these things are squeezing pubs and their margins to the point where many of them are ceasing to be viable. So what we really need to address is that fundamental issue of how do we create an economy in which we don't weigh down businesses with all these costs and all this extra taxation and allow them to go out there and grow and expand and employ people and grow our economy.
Former Premier League referee David Coote has avoided jail as he was sentenced for possessing a child abuse video. The footage was Category A, the most serious kind, and was found by police on one of his devices. Nottingham Crown Court heard it showed a 15-year-old boy in school uniform. He was sentenced to 9 months in prison, suspended for 2 years. Coote was charged in February last year with making an indecent image of a child and pleaded guilty in October. And Storm Goretti's weather bomb is to hit the UK as an amber wind warning forces more train cancellations. Yellow snow warnings now cover huge areas of East Anglia, the Midlands, the North and South West, as well as almost all of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. A more severe amber snow warning has also been issued for much of central Wales and the Midlands and parts of the North, with up to 30 centimetres of snow predicted there. National Rail says all train services have been cancelled in parts of southwest England this evening due to that amber wind warning. And those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more news in half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Here's a quick snapshot of the markets. The pound buying you $1.3440 and €1.1508. The price of gold, £3,293.91 per ounce. And the FTSE 100 is currently at 10,018 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 11 minutes past 1.
Just want to read out a quick message here. Lots of you have been getting in touch about us complaining about why trains are cancelled hours and hours before the bad weather comes in. And Glynis has pointed out they cancel trains in advance before the bad weather so they can get the rolling stock and staff back in the right places for after the storm.
Yeah.
It's fair point, well made, but I'm still not entirely convinced, I have to admit.
I'm fairly sure there are train depots all over the country.
Well, I don't know. Don't get him started on HS2 again. Don't go there. Let's talk about pubs.
We do need more capacity. No, anyway. Outraged pub bosses are threatening strike action in protest at rising taxes announced in Rachel Reeves' latest budget.
Pub landlord Andy Lennox, who previously led moves to ban Labour MPs from some venues, raised the prospect of industrial action.
Reeves and Keir Starmer don't sit up and listen. This is only going to get bigger. We are pushing into industrial action. There's protest plans for the end of the month. We are going to go further and further and further. You know, we employ 3 million people. We're the third biggest employer in hospitality in the UK. And we generate 60 billion in taxation. They have to sit up and listen to us, and we're not going to go away until they do.
Well, the Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch also vowed to slash the average pub energy bills by £1,000 under plans to reverse Labour's raid on the local.
OK, so joining us now is GB News chief political correspondent, the wonderful Catherine Forster, to explain exactly what is going on here. Catherine, good to see you. Kemi Badenoch is being quite fierce on this subject, isn't it? Big interview in The Telegraph today explaining exactly what the Conservatives are going to do.
Yes, she has been, because she can see that Rachel Reeves, having upset the farmers with her first budget, has really upset the pub industry. About 45,000 pubs in the United Kingdom. Kemi Badenoch says that she would scrap business rates for most of them, and she would also cut their energy bills by £1,000. But I think what's happened here is that the COVID era support will have gone this April, and also a lot of pubs will have their rateable value has been reassessed, which will mean big bill increases for many, and all of that comes on top of the fact that, of course, the government has increased employers' national insurance, increased the minimum wage, and reduced the threshold at which employers start to pay national insurance, which has all made it more expensive to hire lower paid workers, of which hospitality industry has many. Now, I was just in a briefing with the Prime Minister's official spokesman. We did ask about what the government are going to do about this, and we were told that the government recognises the vital role that pubs play and recognises the challenges that they are facing. They said that they are finding out how best to help them. Now, they wanted to stress, they say, that there's £4.3 billion of support already available, that they are cutting red tape, that the cap of 15% for next year of how much the bills can go up. But I think they're going to have to go further than that, because the anger and the worry is very real indeed. We've got Labour MPs, Rachel Maskell yesterday in PMQs, putting their heads above the parapet. She has said that the government must urgently review business rates. Of course, the opposition parties have said the same. The Lib Dems have said pubs are at risk like never before. So the government took well over a year to do that U-turn on inheritance tax release for farmers. I suspect they will have learnt from that, and movement on pubs is likely to come much, much quicker.
Indeed, we'll watch this space. Thank you very much. That's Catherine Forster there, and GB News chief political correspondent there.
Well, joining us now is the landlord of the Keffin Mabley Arms in Cardiff, Ben Longman. Ben, thanks indeed for being with us this afternoon. Pubs clearly are hurting up and down the country. What do you want to hear from the Chancellor?
Well, I really do think that any increase in business rates should be phased in over a longer period of time. The rateable value should be postponed because, you know, we're paying high rates and we're getting virtually nothing back in return for it. It also comes at the bad time of the minimum wage increases and the lowering of the threshold of the national insurance contributions, making employing people a hell of a lot more expensive come April than it is at current. And we're not making any money at the moment. And if we were to put the prices up to reflect these increases, nobody would be able to afford to come out. You mirror that with the government wanting to reduce the drink driving limit. It all seems negative towards the hospitality industry in total. There's nothing good. You know, the government say they're helping us by relaxing the licensing rules, saying that we can open longer, we can stay open, you know, but if there's nobody in here, in hospitality pubs as it is, staying open longer is not going to help. You know, giving us the ability to put tables and chairs on the streets is only going to help high street pubs. It's certainly not going to help semi-rural pubs like us. And you know, the drink driving reduction in the alcohol units is going to be harmonised with Europe, but we're not in Europe. And if they are going to harmonise that element of it, then harmonise the relief that hospitality in Europe get, which is far more substantial than the UK government is giving us. And as your correspondent said, we employ 3 million people. We're the third largest employer in the United Kingdom.
And Ben, if nothing changes and all these taxes go ahead, what does the future look like for your pub?
It looks very bleak, I'll be perfectly honest. You know, we are struggling to make ends meet at the moment. The footfall is coming down, the turnover is reducing, the expenditure is going up beyond our wildest expectations, and there's no incentive for people to come out You know, I don't know where the government are looking at. Hospitality seems to be thriving. Yes, I admit that if you go into the city centres, the pubs appear to be doing a lot better than semi-rural pubs. But you know, that's for a brief period of time over Christmas. You know, you go into the town centre now, and they are very, very quiet. I do think that, you know, hospitality is going to be really, really struggling to stay at its current level. And, you know, 45,000 pubs, I think you could be talking closer to half that surviving if there's nothing done to protect this sector.
We've got a Prime Minister who has been a London lawyer his whole life. He represents a seat right in the heart of the capital city. We have a cabinet where it seems like every single major cabinet minister represents a very, very urban area of this country. They've got a particular understanding of what this country is. Do you get the sense that we now have a government that is just completely out of step with people who don't choose to live in big cities, with rural or indeed semi-rural life? It seems that on not just pubs, but on farms, on so many issues across the board, we now have a government that simply doesn't understand much of the country.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, they're living in their great big ivory towers in London, and they look out the window and they see, you know, the city is prospering in general, you know, but why not leave decisions on farming to people with a little bit of farming knowledge as opposed to politicians that have none? And the same with the hospitality sector. They've not worked in hospitality, and, you know, they're lawyers, and all they do is go to the pub in London and the likes of these busy centres that are thriving. You know, you don't have to travel too far outside of London to get to a semi-rural pub that is struggling to keep the doors open. These are the pillar of society. They are the centres for local communities. They offer far more than just a pie and a pint or a quick meal. You know, we're supporting communities, and, you know, we just need a little bit more recognition from central government. I don't know what picture they're looking on, but, you know, they're certainly getting the wrong end of the stick, and they really need to have a look at what they're doing to this sector. As you've already pointed out on the programme, we are the third largest employer in the United Kingdom. And, you know, you get steelworks where they pile millions and millions of pounds in to keep it open, and they employ a few thousand people. Hospitality is the third biggest employer in the country, and yet we're dealt, you know, a pretty poor package. You know, VAT should be reduced. We pay 20% VAT on everything we sell, but we're only allowed to claim VAT back on certain elements. You know, products. You know, there's no VAT reclaim on them. We're getting hammered by VAT. We're getting hammered by rates. We're getting hammered by minimum pay increases and national insurance thresholds being lowered. It really is time that they woke up and accepted that the hospitality industry needs more support than just opening longer and putting tables and chairs on the pavements.
Ben, we can hear the stress in your voice, if you don't mind me saying so. I mean, what pressure is it actually putting on you and your family?
Well, I work 100 to 120 hours a week. I haven't paid myself for 6 months. There is simply not enough money to pay myself. And, you know, it's been a poor trading period, and the outlook is bleak, I'm afraid. You know, I have to financially support this business to keep the 20 people employed, and the only people who are benefiting from my hard work is the government. I mean, almost 50% of the expenditure that goes out of this pub is some form of tax, whether it be VAT, national insurance rates, or duty on the beer. What, you know, they've got to stop crippling businesses financially. You know, if VAT was reduced to 10%, which they did just after the COVID situation, you know, we started to get back to where we need to be. You know, if VAT was reduced and business rates were reduced, we could we could reduce the cost of beer, we could reduce the cost of the wines and spirits and meals, and then employ more people to serve more. You know, it will increase turnover, increase the number of people we employ. At the moment, we're looking to reduce this. We're looking to get rid of 2 or 3 people instead of employing 2 or 3 people more. So I really do think that they have to look long and hard and listen to people who know.
Yeah. Ben, thank you so much for joining us and good luck with that. And if you are in the Cardiff area, get yourself down to the Kevin Mabley Arms in Cardiff and say hello to Ben for us. Thank you so much for joining us, Ben.
Thank you.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News, and there's plenty more to come.
Yeah, growing tensions in Minneapolis after a woman is shot dead by an ICE agent, with President Trump backing the officer as the city's mayor disputes the official account.
But after the break, Britain's building industry is in its lowest slump since COVID, with growing doubts over whether ministers can meet their housing targets.
All of that and much more to come. This is GB News at Britain's News Channel. We'll see you very soon.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 26 minutes past 1. And build, baby, build. Remember that? Bulldoze the blockers. Yes, that's what the Labour Party's been saying, but what's happened in reality?
Well, not quite that. House building has indeed suffered its sharpest slump since the pandemic last month, in a major blow to Labour's ambitions to build, baby, build and deliver 1.5 million new homes. Experts warn tax hikes and red tape are to blame.
Well, it comes as planning permissions for new homes are not up, They're down by 19%. Just astonishing, with the Housing Secretary accused of surrendering to NIMBYs. Those are campaigners who don't like it in their backyard.
Indeed. I'm not going there. OK, we're joined now... Stop it, Tom. We're joined now by Head of Policy and Market Insight of the National Federation of Builders, Rico Wachowicz. Rico, good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. I mean, Rico, what's going on here? We were promised build, baby, build. I mean, sort of like, you know, how many millions of new homes were Labour going to build? That's not happening, is it?
No. I'm going to be realistic as a starting point in the fact that, you know, your last speaker was very interesting there. Businesses are being hammered and new regulations, particularly on wages, are really, really impacting everybody. And April is going to be a devastating time for many businesses, particularly construction. But construction's got loads of new regulations coming through. And actually, construction plans 2, 3, 4 years ahead. So a lot of the permissions, I'm going to defend the government as a starting point, and then we'll carry on. But a lot of the permissions that they're delivering now are actually Tory permissions. And I noticed you had Michael Gove up there, the original NIMBY, who unfortunately put so many policies in place that stopped homes being built that Labour have spent the last 18 months unpicking them. Now, is that enough for me to say they're doing a good job? No. Because the reality is, I would argue they should have been prepared for all of this at the start. You know, they immediately came through and changed some planning policies without any consultation. Others have taken a lot longer, and you have a consultation, then a debate, then it goes through the House of Commons, and then it becomes law. By that time, you're a business. That could take 2 years. It takes 2 years to get 18 months to get planning on a site of 50 homes, and then longer to get all the conditions in place you can start building. 1.5 million home target was always impossible. And that's probably why the last government and other parties always say 300,000 a year, because they hope to get to that target one day annually, rather than 1.5 million, which by year one is already 360,000 homes a year.
But Rico, these numbers are astonishing. We speak very often to Labour MPs, and I am always surprised, genuinely surprised, that they think that they are actually doing things. They will genuinely say, if you ask a Labour MP, well, what is this government doing? They say, well, we're getting Britain building again. They don't even know that the number of new housing starts is down, not up, that planning permissions are down, not up, that in London in particular, there's almost a building freeze going on right now. I mean, the gulf between the rhetoric and the reality has never been wider.
Yeah, so the last 4 months, I would say, I feel quite comfortable with the fact that they've started to engage with industry. It's taken quite a while for them to realise that, but, you know, we've had changes to the policies on the Building Safety Act and the Building Safety Regulator to get projects through more quickly, not just on the regulation side, but more staff to help with that. We've recently had an announcement for the National Planning Policy Framework, which is supporting more smaller developers, because remember, they're the ones that deliver quickly. The large sites can take a decade to get over the line.
On the Building Safety Regulator, this is a regulator that was only set up a couple of years ago, that is meaning that even people who want to refurbish their homes, in some cases, are having to wait almost a year to get sign-off from this regulator. There are cases of people who have ground floor flats who need the sign-off from the safety regulator because their building is tall and they can't install a new window without that sign-off. I mean, if this government was serious about banishing the blockers, it wouldn't just tinker with this regulator, it would abolish it.
Well, if you also remember, there was a second review, and before the old system was in place, they already agreed to changes to that system. So while everyone was preparing to get used to that system, a new one has been promised, so that created more complexities and more delays. Abolish, I think there are lots of problems with it. There are obviously issues that need to be considered. Has it gone too far? Well, I think if you speak to some of the fire associations that consider some of the safety elements, perhaps they've not been listened to enough. And I heard you talk about second staircases in the past. The US has just got rid of second staircases. There are ways to deal with these solutions that perhaps the industry hasn't been listened to, because there are maybe some, I don't know, politically expedient conversations that take up a bit more of the time. And unfortunately, if you go that direction, you are not going to build stuff. And it's not just about houses, it's schools, roads, rail. You know, investors that want to come to the UK are not going to spend millions of pounds if they can't get any projects off the line, they can't build a manufacturing plant, they can't connect up the workforce to their employment, that hinders the country hugely.
Rico, I was going to mention the point about the actual workforce when the government came in and promised this, and we pointed out that there weren't the tradespeople to do it in any case. I mean, we certainly didn't have enough builders, plasterers, scaffolders, all the people that need to do the actual hard work on this one. How is this affecting the people actually on the ground? They're the men and the women that are actually out there at 6 o'clock in the morning, freezing cold weather, up the scaffolding. How's that going?
Yeah, it's brutal. And so 8 in 10 construction apprentices are trained by small and medium-sized companies. You know, that's like a house builder building up to 200 homes a year, who either directly employ or has a supply chain that they always work with. And they are being hammered so much because they can't then train new people. And what's interesting about that is that somebody, say, works for a company, then sets up by themselves, either self-employed or their own company. So it's a real chain. And because those companies have gone under, and many of them are going under, you then lose that capacity. What they then have, they have greater pressure on the existing companies. Then, if I'm honest, we've kind of gone for the bigger companies who never train and retain typically, especially not in the trades. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy that a failure. You know, a stat I recently used is we train more when SME house builders built 40% of homes, around 40% of homes, we trained more carpenters and bricklayers than we do entire construction apprentices today, where we build 9% of homes, SMEs build 9% of homes. Unless you understand the business model, the retention model, the actual from start to finish approach, you can train 1 million people to the jobs, but there are not 1 million jobs. You're not going to solve anything, and that still impacts then the investors who maybe want to come in and do some works and find, I can't find the workforce to do it. I can't find enough people to kind of, so say if you're in the green sector, you know, it's a big sector at the moment. If you're the only people doing a component and the other component manufacturers in a different country, let's say Europe, well, where are you going to stick your money? In Europe, where you can kind of create a big business model that's regional, or the UK, where you're treading water before you actually got anywhere.
And so often it's about that production line. It's about the predictability, being able to go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. With our crazy system where you don't know if you're going to get approval or not, as opposed to many other countries where actually you can have a predictable line of, then you can train people. Rico, we could talk about this all day, but thank you so much for joining us and talking through what a disaster current building policy is in Britain.
So let's add builders to farmers to pub landlords to pensioners to everybody else that doesn't seem to be doing terribly well under this coming in for change for the working people.
Well, we've got some breaking news to bring you. GB News understands the government is now expected to U-turn on its planned business rates hike for pubs.
Labour MPs concerned about soaring costs say they're expecting a support package to be announced very soon. We'll bring you the latest on this live breaking story as when we have it.
Well, lots more still to come on today's programme, including more on that breaking news, but elsewhere.
Yeah, growing tensions in Minneapolis after a woman is shot dead by an ICE agent, with President Trump backing the officer as the city's mayor disputes the official account.
All of that and much more to come with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, very good day to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Storm Goretti's already started to push its way in and it's bringing some wet, yes, but also very windy and snowy weather as we go through the rest of today. The feature itself is deepening rapidly. It's going through explosive cyclogenesis as it heads towards the UK, which is why it's going to bring such wet, such windy and snowy weather, particularly to the southern half of the UK. Further north, it's actually largely dry through today, just some showers here or there and across parts of Scotland. They could be a bit wintry. Also a good deal of sunshine, some clearer skies across northern parts of Scotland, but a chilly day, temperatures struggling to get above freezing in some places, milder further south and west, but obviously feeling pretty unpleasant with the wet, the windy and the wintry for some weather pushing its way in. Through this evening, it's largely dry into the day across much of Scotland, but some coastal showers and they could still be wintry. Early frost and temperatures continuing to plummet overnight with largely clear skies here. Cloudier as we head further south, and then we really feel the impacts of Storm Goretti across much of, well, the Midlands, Wales. Here the rain falling as snow, some significant snow building up. We're talking 20-30 centimetres in places with an amber warning out. Also strong winds across parts of the southwest, in particular gusts of around 100 miles per hour. It could really be a very windy event indeed. The feature itself does start to clear away towards the east, but nonetheless an unsettled night to come for many of us, just staying dry towards the north across parts of Scotland. You may be wondering what all the fuss is about. As we go through tomorrow, eastern areas staying very wet, rainfall building up, and that could cause some issues, some localised flooding and travel disruption. Drier further west, but still some showery outbreaks of rain, but some glimmers of sunshine towards the west, and winds markedly lighter than today. Temperatures still on the low side, especially towards the north.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. Together, we have built something truly extraordinary.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. On the M74, the southbound carriageway is closed between junction 14 and junction 16 after multiple road traffic incidents. In Northamptonshire, the M1 northbound between junction 16 and junction 18 has an accident involving a vehicle that left the carriageway, with one lane closed. In Surrey, the M23 northbound between junction 9 and junction 8 has a broken down vehicle, restricting one lane. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast and Chiltern Railways warn Storm Goretti may impact your journey today. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's coming up to 20 to 2.
Yes, OK. And now the big story from America. A US immigration agent has fatally shot a 37-year-old woman in Minneapolis, triggering overnight protests and a federal investigation.
Well, Homeland Security, the department in the United States, says that Renee Nicole Good had tried to run over ICE officers with her car and defensive shots were fired.
But the city's mayor, Jacob Frey, disputes this claim.
They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying.
Although the mayor declaring the White House version of events BS. But it comes after hundreds of ICE agents were deployed in Minneapolis as part of the White House's crackdown on illegal immigration.
So we are now joined by former FBI Special Agent James Hamilton. James, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. James, what do you make about this incident? We've showed the video several times. Obviously, it's very distressing. What do you make of what happened?
Hey, good to see you guys. Thanks for having me. It falls completely in line with their training, and the use of force policy is really clear on these. It says if you're in imminent danger of death or serious bodily injury, and a car certainly coming at you could be considered death or serious bodily injury if you're struck by it. And it's always up to the reasonable officer standard. It's not up to what the president thinks or the mayor thinks or the governor thinks. It's a reasonable officer in that situation, would they have used that type of force? And that's how this will be played out.
Now, lots of people have seen the same video footage and have made different arguments for it. We've paused it here just before the true violence starts, but some people say that the car is turning away from the officer. The officers weren't in the direct line of that vehicle. Different camera angles, different opinions. Lots of people have a very, very ardent view of what went on that seems to be completely diametrically opposed to one another.
Yeah, all interesting. But if you notice, there's not the officer there. There's another officer right there in front of the vehicle. So don't concentrate on the officer to the left of the driver's window. There's an officer directly in front of this car that is right now, it's completely screened by the other officer that you're seeing. But there's an officer, if you use a clock face, at 12 o'clock, directly in front of the Honda. And that's the officer that fired the round. That's the officer that obviously felt like they were in imminent danger. You'll see him right there, boom. There's an officer with a drawn firearm, and then the car decides to drive at him or her, I don't know, I can't tell. And the officer decided to utilize deadly force in that situation. Again, the policy is if they felt as though they were in imminent danger of death or serious bodily injury, that's it. That's the standard. That's what they're trained to, and that's what will be, looked at in court, not all these other individuals who are pontificating about what they would have done in that situation or, what they observed. It's interesting, but it's really not really relevant to the court proceeding.
James, speaking personally, if an officer of the law tells me to stop, especially if they've got a gun, I will stop.
There you go. Well, one would think it's usually prudent to stop when an officer is asking you to stop, and certainly when they're pointing a gun at you. But these things happen, and these happen a lot. This isn't an isolated incident of an officer utilizing a firearm when they're being run over.
It's just so tragic because so often the situations where people do get hurt, both on this side of the Atlantic and on the other side of the pond. It's when people don't obey police instructions, when the police say stop and they drive off, or they try and run, or they fight back. And it's just surely there should be greater understanding that if a policeman tells you to stop, you bloomin' well stop. The context of this, of course, is there was a protest in Minneapolis, a protest related to ICE itself, which might then lead to... The difficulty here is that there have been some politicians who do say resist ICE. There have been some politicians who do say here's how to escape from ICE and all the rest of it. And then that is a breakdown of the social contract, surely.
Well, certainly, and if you look at where are we? Why are all these officers wearing masks? That's a good question. They didn't do that 5 years ago. Why are they wearing masks? The answer is because people are doxing these officers. They're getting their face. They're putting their personal information online, their personal address, their kids' names. All of these things are happening. There's a real fear in law enforcement. These people are not, they weren't sent to Minneapolis by happenstance. They were given orders to go do their job, to enforce immigration law, which is their job, and they're doing it. And unfortunately, we're in a situation where people not only are protesting actively, which is fine, but they're actually doxing these individuals. And we don't know, again, who was this person? Why were they there? The news reports is they were I think it was a monitor was the verbiage I had heard. They were monitoring. Who are they? What are they doing there? The ICE pulled this person over for a reason, and it sounded like the news story I read is they'd seen this vehicle before. It was blocking the officers in. Well, is this part of a larger conspiracy? Is this individual involved in something else? These officers don't know. They had no idea, and so they try to stop the vehicle to understand, hey, why are you blocking us in? Why are you following us? Why are you doing surveillance? Because they could be in fear, of that. And, these things happen. These things get very dangerous very quickly. And this rhetoric, again, we've seen this before in the U.S., and it needs to tone down on all sides. Everyone needs to calm down.
James, that's one thing I just wanted to quickly mention to you. Obviously, Minneapolis is a very left-wing city, very left-wing state, very left-wing mayor. The rhetoric of the mayor about the immigration and customs enforcement team, what do you think of that? I mean, I found it quite... the language he used was pretty shocking.
Certainly, I would agree with your characterization. Again, they're doing their job. 77 million Americans voted for immigration reform. This is what it looks like, and it can be quite ugly. At the end of the day, I mean, the people that voted it that way, that wanted, immigration reform and all this stuff. Well, okay, that enforcement, there are consequences, and these things are, it is very, very dangerous just on a normal day. But when you ratchet it up with all this other rhetoric and all the things you mentioned with politicians saying these types of things, it obviously makes it more, inflammatory and not helpful.
OK, well, James Hamilton, former FBI special agent, thanks indeed for joining us and talking through this concerning situation stateside.
Yes, absolutely. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Cirque du Soleil, in slightly lighter news, returns to the Royal Albert Hall, and GB News has exclusive access to today's dress rehearsal.
Can't wait to see this. If you are in search of some holiday sun, though, here's a forecast for those top European destinations for you.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The cold winds and the snow not just confined to the UK. In and around the Mediterranean, pretty blustery, and some heavy snow likely over the Alps. First really big dumps for some here of the winter. Some showery rain for the Algarve. It's generally fine in the Canaries. Showery rain moving into Italy and across Croatia and further south too for Greece. We'll continue to see the weather pretty mixed in Italy with further showers and some gusty cold winds to come. The weather remains pretty fine in Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Stop. We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Samantha, Jeffrey, thank you for your time tonight on The Late Show Live. Really appreciate it. This is a story that, amongst all the stories of wars and murders and crime and so on, at least it's given us a laugh, and at least the raccoon is okay. Just explain to us, if you can, Samantha, exactly what happened. Where was the raccoon found? Where is he now? Who found him, and so on?
Yeah, so the store manager went to open up the ABC store here in Ashland, Virginia, and discovered a bunch of broken bottles in the back room. Upon further investigation, he was also located a raccoon that was passed out in one of the bathrooms. He had locked himself in the bathroom, and that's when the store manager called us to get him.
So first things first, how on earth did he end up in the store? How did he get in there?
So he fell through the ceiling. So he went through a ceiling tile and took out the wiring for the video camera as he was falling down. So we don't have a whole lot to go off of, just what the evidence that we encountered when we got to the scene of the crime.
So he fell through the ceiling, and I guess he landed on, because there's pictures here we've got of bottles of, I think it's whiskey, just strewn all over the store. So he must have fallen through the ceiling onto the shelves, smashed all the bottles, and then I guess from there thought it was going to be a great idea to, lap up all the alcohol on the floor?
I guess so. He just decided to have a party.
And who found him?
The store manager.
What was their reaction? Have you spoken to them? What were their first sort of comments to you when I guess they called you to report the raccoon passed out in the bathroom, right?
Yeah, they were a little bit distraught. They didn't know how to get him out. They obviously did not want to pick him up themselves. So that's why they called us for assistance.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's now 10 to 2.
Yes, and the world's most famous circus troupe, Cirque du Soleil, is returning to London's Royal Albert Hall tomorrow.
Over 200 million people have watched the performers across 60 countries, but all eyes are on their new show, insect-inspired as it is.
So we obviously... Why wouldn't we? We sent national reporter Will Godley down there to dress as an insect or a plant and do some dancing around. Let's see how he got on. Will,
Welcome to the Royal Albert Hall, where the finishing touches are going on here ahead of tomorrow's launch of the Cirque du Soleil. It's now in its 30th year here in London, one of the most famous circuses in the world. And behind me, juggling going on, one of the amazing acrobatic features that's happening here. And I can speak now to Jessie, one of the artists involved. Jessie, what's it like being a performer here?
It's a dream come true, if I'm being honest. It's absolutely incredible to be performing here in the Royal Albert Hall, especially for Cirque du Soleil's 30th anniversary. It definitely feels like I'm living in a piece of history, and I'm so happy to be here.
And what about life as a performer for you? You're from America. What's it like being here in the UK?
I'm loving it so far. The food is good. The people are nice. I actually have a lot of friends that are here performing in the UK in various shows, so I've gotten to see them, to see their shows. I'm enjoying myself very much, and I'm super excited to be performing here for a whole 2 months. As you may know, we're here until March 1st, so I'm really looking forward to having some time to explore the city and to find all kinds of fun things.
And Jessie, how's your juggling? Let's speak to Saggy, because he's doing a fantastic show here. I don't know if you can teach us a thing or two about... He's saying, of course, what are these?
Okay, so those are juggling clubs. This is my speciality, I would say. There's a bit hard to juggle. You need to spin them in the air, but there's a variety of things that you can do, such as rolling them, balancing them, and that's my favorite prop, and I'm very happy to juggle it here.
Do you reckon you could teach me how to do it?
Yes. Clubs are a bit difficult, so I can teach you balls.
Let's have a go. Let's try with some of the balls. We've got some here. We can bring them in.
We can maybe try with one.
With one?
Yeah. You're going to throw it from one hand to another. Kind of
just like that? I might have to give you the microphone.
Oh, yeah, sure. Kind of in your eye level. Yeah, that's great.
All right.
That's perfect. And now to add the second ball, you want to try kind of a cross. So you want to create a cross. So not at the same time. The first ball is going to get here, and before it gets down, you're going to throw the other ball just below it. So 1, 2, accept. That's great.
That was all right.
Amazing. Welcome to the circus.
Let's quit while we're ahead. Thank you, Saggy.
Thank you so much.
Maybe I've auditioned well enough to have a job in time for tomorrow when Cirque du Soleil launches here in the Royal Albert Hall.
Excellent stuff, Will, but I have to say your juggling is throwing a ball from one hand to the other. I've got a computer mouse here. I mean, am I juggling now? Is that what juggling is?
And I've got a brush, and even I can do it. Come
on, Will Godley.
Oh, come on. He does dress as a flower later on, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we might have a bit of...
seen that.
Can you be a flower?
I think I'd be a majestic flower.
I think you'd be, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'd be a weed, maybe.
The real trick is, can we get one to the... Oh, OK, no, hang on. Never tell me my job isn't serious, Dawn. Right, there we go. This is allegedly a news programme. Good afternoon, Britain. We'll be back with you after your latest weather forecast.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again. I'm here with your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Now, the weather from Storm Goretti is going to intensify as we go through the rest of today. We're seeing heavy rain, very strong winds and also some significant storm. The feature itself deepened rapidly just as it came close towards the UK, and it's now tracking its way eastwards across southern parts. It's bringing a significant amount of rain but also some significant snow as colder air digs into that rain across parts of Wales and the Midlands. There's also strong winds to watch out for. We're talking gusts of up to 100 miles per hour around the tip of Cornwall as we go through the end of today. Further north, it's a drier picture. A few showers for parts of Northern Ireland and some coastal showers around parts of Scotland as well. But here, a lot of dry weather and actually a lot of clear skies as we go through the night across parts of Scotland. So temperatures plummeting, negative double figures perhaps. But the bigger talking point is the wet, the windy and the wintry weather across the southern half of the UK. Some significant snow building up over parts of Wales and the West Midlands. We could see 20-30 centimetres in some places, enough to cause some disruption. Whilst it's very cold across northern parts, slightly less cold further south, temperatures around freezing for many places because of the unsettled weather. Then it's a wet start for many in the south as we go through tomorrow, staying wet through much of the day across eastern parts. Could be some flooding, some further travel disruption because of the rain here. Elsewhere, a few showery bursts coming down from from the north, but also some glimmers of sunshine towards the west. Temperatures a bit milder towards the southwest than some recent days, still chilly towards the north, with temperatures struggling to get above freezing in some spots. As we go through the end of the day, it stays wet across some eastern parts, a few showers elsewhere, but some clear skies to start the night. More cold weather to come as we go into the weekend, and then there's the potential for more disruptive snow to arrive as we go through Sunday. Bye-bye.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello from the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland. We're on an amazing Arctic adventure to celebrate our greatest cash giveaway, a simply stunning £85,000. And in 2026, we're giving you the chance to win it all.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here at GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Thursday, the 8th of January. I'm Dawn Neeson.
And I'm Tom Harwood. Now, breaking news in the last hour, an expected government U-turn on pub business rates, with ministers now expected to ease the planned hike after mounting pressure from their own MPs and, of course, pub landlords.
Make it make sense. Scotland Yard admits thousands of officers were hired without proper vetting, allowing rapists, racists and violent offenders to wear the badge. Is trust in the police at an all-time low?
Now, you're about to see some distressing images. A woman shot dead by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, with President Trump backing the officer, but the city's mayor strongly disputing the account as the video of the incident fuels a growing political storm.
And the Environment Secretary promises a new partnership with farmers, unveiling reforms aimed at boosting profitability and securing Britain's food supply.
Well, the Secretary of State's told farmers at this conference she was backing them to grow with confidence and resilience. But outside, farmers tooted their horns and lined the high street here in Oxford. We'll have all the details.
What do you say to your victims, Hugh Edwards?
Well, Martin Clunes will portray the disgraced BBC News presenter and sex offender Hugh Edwards in a new Channel 5 drama. Is it all too soon?
And gearing up for Goretti, Britain is braced for their latest storm, where 12 inches of snow and 90-mile-per-hour gusts of wind are expected to batter the UK.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. Straight to that breaking news. GB News understands the government is expected to U-turn, an enormous U-turn here on planned business rates hike for pubs.
Labour MPs concerned about soaring costs say they're expecting a support package to be announced very soon. This comes as outraged pub bosses are threatening strike action in protests.
Well, let's go straight to our political editor, Christopher Hope, who is with the Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch. But before we get to Kemi, Chris, your understanding of this breaking news?
That's right. Labour MPs think there could be some news announced in coming days, some form of U-turn. We heard from the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. He told me on Monday they might look at extending opening hours. It sounds like that's not enough for the rebels and more needs to be done, possibly some further relief or extending that COVID support package. They're being hit by two big issues, the withdrawal of the COVID support package brought in by the Conservative government and a re-evaluation of business rates. We're seeing a 3/4 increase for some pubs across 3 years. And with me now is the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch. Kemi Badenoch, your reaction to reports that there might be a U-turn from this government on this issue?
Well, Labour MPs have come back from Christmas break where they were banned from every single pub in the country, and they suddenly realised that people don't like them. That's why they're pushing for this U-turn. Conservatives saw this as soon as it happened. Remember my budget speech, and I talked about how Rachel had done absolutely nothing for pubs? Well, the chickens have come home to roost. Anyone who is an MP in a rural constituency especially knows that pubs are the lifeblood of so many towns and villages as well as cities. Some of them have been there for hundreds of years. We don't want to see them disappear. We've already lost, most butchers in villages and towns, the bakers. Most places now just have a pub and a church. We've got to do what we can to protect them.
And how would your plan work? You set out your plans in today's Daily Telegraph. How would that work?
So I'm sick of seeing high streets with boarded up shops and empty pubs. We have a cheap power plan to bring down energy bills. Look, I know I'm not wearing my coat, but it is absolutely freezing. Energy bills are skyrocketing. Our cheap power plan will bring down pubs' energy bills by about £1,000. But we also have a plan to abolish business rates for retail, hospitality and leisure. So basically abolishing business rates on the high street where it's under £110,000. That's how you get Britain working again.
And how you pay for that?
We pay for it with our £47 billion of savings. Obviously, we're going to spend that on other things, including paying down the deficit. But we've got a golden economic rule where we find savings and then we use them for tax cuts and paying down the deficit. Let's bring public spending under control. But the thing about what Labour is doing is that it's not enough. This is just pubs. What about the restaurants? What about the hotels? Do we have to ban Labour MPs from every restaurant in the country before they see sense?
Is it time we started to view pubs differently? They should be also protected status like post offices, GP surgeries, schools and the like.
Pubs are special. They are part of our country's tradition. We love pubs. We want to see them carry on from strength to strength. And they have been hammered. When we were in government, we tried to help them during COVID with that relief that Labour are scrapping. There's a lot that we can do and we must continue to do to keep pubs working again.
I know you weren't leader, but on your party's record, 5,500 pubs closed between 2010 and 2020. Why should viewers of GB News trust you on dealing and supporting pubs?
Well, I'm not here to say that everything was perfect under Conservatives, because it wasn't. But as you said, that wasn't under my leadership. I've got a plan. We did do some things, like with the COVID relief, for instance, but we need to make sure that we do more. We tried to help them by making it cheaper to drink in a pub than just go to the supermarket, for example. There's a lot more that we can do.
What's your favourite tipple?
Prosecco. I know it's not very pubby, but I'm going to be honest. I'm always honest. Prosecco is my drink.
And a favourite TV pub?
Ooh, is it the Nag's Head?
Yes.
Yeah.
In Emmerdale?
Yeah, I think it's got to be that one.
In other news today, there's 22 Labour councils reported looking to delay their local elections. We know that 2 Conservative ones will, 3 maybe, and the remainder should not. Why won't you order any Tory council to agree to elections in May?
Well, it is Conservative policy that we should have elections, but I'm not a dictator. You know, Nigel Farage, no one else makes any decisions. He's a one-man band. I'm part of a team, and I also trust my team. Some Conservative leaders have done that. They've said that they're trying to save taxpayers' money by stopping them from having 2 elections in quick successions. They're going to have to explain that. I think they should have those elections. But what you have with me is somebody who works as part of a team. I'm not a dictator. I do want to see elections happen. We are up for them. The public need to have their voices heard.
It might make you look weak if they refuse to go ahead with elections and you say you should have them.
No, not at all. I have said that it is our policy nationally to have elections where we can. But I also respect the mandate. They have their own mandates. They have their own democratic mandate. And it is when you start seeing people not respecting the democratic mandate, it's weak people who do that.
Yes. And just finally, you're climbing in the polls slowly. This marathon race you've been telling us you're in, you maybe got to 13 miles, another 13 miles to go. Will you overtake Reform UK this year? Will you make a forecast for GB News?
Chris, we're not yet at 13 miles. There's still a long road ahead. Remember when I told you the last oppositions were 14, 13, 18 years? We've been in opposition 18 months. But I think people can already see that while we made mistakes, Labour has made everything worse. We are the only party that can take on Labour properly and still be competent enough and tough enough to get things right.
Kevin Badenoch, thank you there. Kevin Badenoch there with her favourite tipple, Prosecco, and also hopeful of this form of a U-turn here with this government. We'll be seeing hopefully some news on that maybe in coming days.
Well, Christopher Hope, thanks indeed for bringing us all of that live there from the City of London.
Yeah, and just a factual point there, the Nag's Head was in Only Fools and Horses, not Emmerdale.
Ah, so it was.
I know my pubs. I used to be a barmaid.
You know your fictional pubs.
I know real pubs as well, believe me. I'm doing my bit to support the hospitality industry.
Excellent.
So talking of which, now let's go and talk to the landlord of the Plasterers Arms in Hoylake, Anthony Rutter. Anthony, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. A U-turn. Are you feeling victorious? Are you happy with this?
Do we believe it? That's the question. Is it really going to happen? What will they change on us that'll make it more expensive? I mean, the price of electricity is through the roof for us at the minute. In the last 3 years, it's gone up by about £300 a month. Gas has gone up by about £200 a month. The ale itself has gone up to a point where we make very limited amounts off it now. Charging much more than £5 a pint, people feel aggrieved by that. The business rates, I think that would be an absolutely devastating thing to go through. I'm hoping that they do actually turn back on it and realise that without pubs, you won't have employment. I have 7 pubs in my 7 employees in my small pub, the Plasterers Arms. We seat 30 people tops in here. It's great when it's summer and we can get them outside. We know it covers us for that period, but unfortunately, when it hits that winter time, it really takes its toll on us. And the business rate rise for me would be probably from 0 to about £8,000 extra a year. Oh. It's absolutely devastating.
I mean, when you lay it all out like that, it is just shocking that frankly, government has allowed it to get to this state. The amount of money that the Treasury is taking from you and your business, whether it's the business rates, VAT, of course, national insurance. I mean, it's all it must be so excruciating. Do you think that this government has an agenda against pubs or just an enormous blind spot?
I just don't think they know what they're doing. I don't think any of them know what they're doing. If you haven't run a business before, how can you know how to run a country? It's absolutely baffling. I mean, we know that when we can bring costs down for the customers, then we get more customers in, and that creates a bigger VAT revenue. But the VAT at the moment at 20%, it's just absolutely unruly. It's really hard to get through. Really is hard to get through.
I mean, Anthony, the devil is always in the detail with any announcement from any political party, no matter what colour they happen to be. So we don't know the extent of this U-turn, what it may or may not involve yet. But it does seem, I mean, you know, you run a pub in Merseyside, you know, it's like, it's, you know, ordinary working people. This is what this Labour government were meant to be looking after, and it seems they're doing the polar opposite.
I can't see one of them that is a normal person in that front bench at all. Not one of them. I mean, I know he talks about son of a toolmaker, but is that real? Is it true? You know, is he a real person? Because to me, he's just a big blob of beige. There's nothing about him. He's inhuman, and it's really devastating. You know, we are literally placed directly in the community. We couldn't be closer to the community. The community supporters, they come in, they do everything for us. Jobs, you know, we need doing around the building. They help us with that. You know, it's it's not just the guys that work for us who have already lost hours due to the NI rises. You know, I had plans of expansion, of taking it further, opening more pubs. I've got 2 at the moment, and I'm at the point now where I'm thinking, would it just be easier to throw the keys back at the breweries and say, jump onto benefits? Because that's the only way I can see myself getting through at the moment.
Anthony, the way you describe the front bench of the government right now, sort of lacking humanity, it's such an important thread, because pubs are such a human thing. They're such a community thing. As you've been describing, your pub, not just doing things for your community, a place for people to go, to meet, to socialise, but actually the community around doing things for the pub as well. So deeply human, so deeply real. And then you hear the sort of monotone, droning voice of whether it's Rachel Reeves or Keir Starmer. It seems like they just occupy a different universe. Would they be welcome in your pub?
I don't think it'd be up to me, but I know that my customers wouldn't allow them through the door. I wouldn't even have to do anything on that point. I'd be shocked if they even got close to the front door. I'm sure that everyone's doors around the local area would open and remove them for me.
But Anthony, this is, I mean, Merseyside, traditional Labour supporting area. What has gone so wrong for this government just completely not understanding what ordinary working people want and need?
They don't live a normal life. They're not on the same level as normal people. You know, Keir Starmer classes himself as a working person, but not me. I do 8 days a week, 80 hours a week, you know, and that's between 2 pubs I have. One pub is an hour and a half from this pub, so I'm driving backwards and forwards constantly. You know, we're always fixing problems. It just feels like the last bit of money that was left has been ripped away from us if this goes through.
Anthony, before we let you go, I've just got to ask, how are you coping personally? We've spoken to a bunch of pub landlords today who, I mean, clearly it's taking a big human toll on people who are just trying to do right by their employees and their customers.
Absolutely massive toll, yeah. How I've stopped myself breaking into tears right now is beyond me. But honestly, you know, the guys that work for me, they're so fantastic. They are the locals, you know, they deal with people when they come in and they need someone to talk to. And, you know, you have a lot of people are alone in the community, and we are the people that they come to. We're the people that introduce them to new groups of people that give them, you know, a second chance at, you know, building themselves back up. And that's just going to be ripped away from us.
Oh, Anthony, very emotional words. Thank you so much for joining us there. And if you are in the vicinity, get yourselves down to the Plasterers Arms in Hoylake there and say hello to Anthony. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. It's quite astonishing. I just can't believe what I'm hearing from people. But this is a Labour government. Support ordinary working people. That's what you're meant to do.
It just seems like I don't want to believe there's malice at the top of it, but they just seem so utterly incompetent.
Well,
and these are the guys that came in promising that the last lot were incompetent. They were going to be the grown-ups in the room. I mean, what on earth is going on in Downing Street?
I say this all the time. It's not even a political point. My dad was a Labour member. He worked for the unions, etc., etc. He drove lorries, by the way. That was what he did. He understood what, you know, working men want. This isn't Labour Party. This isn't what Labour are about. When you've got pub landlords in Merseyside talking about fighting back tears because they're frightened about their livelihoods under a Labour government.
Well, We're going to try and cheer you up a little bit because it's not all doom and gloom. The show is allegedly called Good Afternoon Britain, so some good news now. It's time for the Great British Giveaway. 2026 could indeed be on us for you. An incredible £85,000 to be won. Here's what you need to know.
It's a brand new year and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. £85,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year the best yet. And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. Imagine what the coming year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank. You can have the complete Lapland experience all in one place by visiting the Northern Lights Village, or just safe in the knowledge that this year is on us. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed.
Indeed, yeah. And thank you so much for all your comments as well coming in. Lots of you saying about how Labour are just ruining the people they're meant to be there to support. And no one, and Rod says, no one business, not a single business person in the cabinet. They don't know what it's like to run certainly a small business, to really struggle, to run a small shop, to run a small farm, to run a small pub. It's just absolutely heartbreaking.
Well, you can imagine it, can't you? The sort of mindset, oh, this is a boss. This is someone who employs someone. They must be mean and nasty and raw. And yet, I mean, speaking to people who do their dance... The pub landlord we spoke to, who hadn't taken a salary himself for six months to ensure that he could pay his staff. Does the Cabinet, does anyone sitting around that table understand that kind of businessman?
Lots of you have been getting in touch and saying, the good thing about this show in particular today is we're talking to ordinary people. We are talking to people that are running the pubs, running the farms, etc. Ordinary people. We are sitting talking to them. And a lot of people are like... But the one thing is, it shouldn't be us talking to them, Tom. It should be the politicians. Yeah. They should be actually out there and talking to them. Now, they say they do, and they come up with that. They always issue a statement, don't they? Oh, we've announced a £4.3 billion package to support our hospitality. What does that even mean? We've been talking to people who haven't paid themselves for 6 months. Yeah. A pub landlord on Merseyside talking about being in tears because he's so worried about his future. Yeah. I mean, that, your grand package, what does it mean? Go and talk to people.
And then the gall, the spin that has been applied to some of these support packages. So Rachel Reeves at her budget last year, standing up and saying, we're going to cut your business rates for pubs, and getting a big cheer from all her backbenchers, knowing full well that they're doing a revaluation of the rates. So even though the headline rate is lower, the amount that the pubs will be paying is more.
It's like,
it's spin, it's politician talk, and it's utterly duplicitous.
Yeah, it's like, we're not going to touch national insurance. Oh, apart from that bit of national insurance that employers pay, but hey, that's just a little bit of, not really national insurance.
And at that budget, saying we're going to take 1p off tax on the pint, meanwhile clobbering those same businesses with that national insurance hike. I mean, it's not really giving with one hand and taking with another. It's giving with one tiny fingernail and then taking with, I don't know, like an armful.
Well, just keep those messages coming in, because we really do appreciate them. And I know we haven't read as many out as we should, but gbnews.com/your say. And Colin has just put Labour MPs, Britain's enemy within. Ooh. And it's surprising how many of you are agreeing with that. And it's like, if Keir Starmer is sitting watching, and you would hope he would be, then do something about this.
Well, do you know, I know for a fact that that this channel plays on televisions in Downing Street.
Good.
I know for a fact it's not upstairs, though, it's downstairs. It's where kitchen staff work, it's where the police work, and sometimes you can catch a view of it. It's downstairs in Downing Street where they watch GB News. I just wish they watched it upstairs too.
Yeah, no, they should be listening. They should be listening to everything you've got to say, everything, the messages coming in. We will read as many out as possible, so do please keep them coming in.
Well, there's lots more still to come on this Good Afternoon Britain.
A new drama is set to portray disgraced former BBC presenter Hugh Edwards, with Martin Clunes taking the lead role. We'll ask whether it's too soon, but after the break.
Serious questions over Britain's police forces, with fresh revelations of vetting failures raising concerns about trust and accountability.
All of that and much more to come. This is GB News at Britain's News Channel. We'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 24 minutes past 2.
Yeah, thousands of officers in Britain's biggest police force were not properly vetted during a major recruitment drive.
Well, according to a new review, senior Metropolitan Police figures ignored national guidelines to fast-track over 4,500 recruits.
And as a result, unsuitable staff, including 2 serial rapists, were able to join.
Just astonishing stuff here. Well, the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood says the findings show a dereliction of the Met's duty to keep London safe.
So we're now joined by a former police officer and Managing Director of the Public Safety Foundation, Oliver Lawrence. Oliver, I find this particularly shocking and depressing. Obviously, we covered the Sarah Everard story here, and it's, this is just an extension of that. How on earth have we got into this situation?
Well, yeah, how have we got into this situation? Good afternoon. You know, dereliction of duty, that's an understatement. And for me, it's about accountability. Somebody somewhere sitting in an office overlooking the Thames on a massive six-figure salary, probably with their peers, has made a decision to circumnavigate national police guidelines and allow numerous nefarious individuals into British policing, posing a significant risk to public safety. Now, where is the accountability? When are we going to hear these stories just keep coming time after time after time? The reputation of the Met is on the floor, and it doesn't like being repaired anytime soon.
I just don't understand the mindset of a senior police officer who, sure, is given an ambitious target for recruitment by a politician. I mean, of course, the police was told to recruit 20,000 officers, which they hit that target. But, I mean, my goodness me, if I was told to recruit a number of people by a certain date, my initial thought would not be, oh, what corners can I cut? Would not be, well, oh, let's not bother checking their criminal records or whether they've been accused of X, Y and Z. I mean, how do you get into that headspace?
The biggest issue senior leadership in policing in the UK at the moment is facing tunnel vision. Diversity in policing across this country is critically important. We want our police to be representative of its communities, but they're trying to hit quotas, they're trying to hit numbers, they're trying to hit specific cohorts of people that they want into policing. And it would appear they're prepared to do absolutely anything to get to those numbers, even risking the safety and security of the people that they're there to protect. And those people, who are these senior leaders? What salaries are they on? Where's the accountability? Where are the tough questions? We don't just want another review where people say, oh, yes, we made a mistake, we circumnavigated the rules and we're back on track. We want accountability. If these people aren't good enough for the job, they should be shown the door.
I mean, we hear the one story that's picked up by the newspapers today, PC Cliff Mitchell, who was recruited despite being accused of raping a child. His application was initially rejected, sensible you would have thought, but this decision was overturned and he was later convicted of 13 counts of rape.
On that point, it was overturned by a vetting panel who overturned the decision because the force wanted to improve the number of officers from ethnic minority backgrounds. I mean, that is an astonishing admission.
It is a sad indictment on the state of British policing today. And what have we got to do to turn it around? We've got people making decisions who've probably never had to call 999, right? Have never had to face, you know, the nefarious behaviours of all those bad people that sit in our communities, right? It is a sad indictment when the people that are turning up to 999 calls and arresting people have got worse rap sheets than the people they're arresting. Now, that is a significant issue, and one that I don't actually know how we turn this around. Unless, should we call a royal commission to talk about how standards have completely eroded from British policing and how senior leadership teams are making such erroneous decisions? I really don't know where to turn or what the answers could be.
So are we seriously saying, though, that the diversity targets as set by Cressida Dick, who was head of the Met back in 2021, overrode actual women and children's safety? A child rapist was acceptable simply because he happened to be black?
Well, we can only draw that conclusion if we're prepared to circumnavigate police national guidelines around vetting, which is obviously the process of suitable candidates coming into law enforcement. If we're prepared to circumnavigate that, to meet figures, to ensure that we're attracting the right types of people into policing, then there is a really, really big issue that the police, far bigger than I think any of us believed was going on. As I say, diversity is critically important in British policing, undoubtedly, but at what cost? Certainly not at the cost of the safety and security of women and children and anybody amongst communities across Britain, let alone London.
Surely people have got to lose their jobs over this. Surely heads have got to roll.
No, they won't. You know, it'll be the same odd thing. Somebody will be wheeled out from New Scotland Yard with plenty of stuff on their shoulders, say, listen, we made a mistake, we're dreadfully sorry, it won't happen again. And in 6-12 months' time, we'll be back where we started. There'll be another review. Until these people start seeing that there is an accountability for these grotesque mistakes, it will keep happening because there is zero accountability. If you find a junior police officer committing an egregious act, they get shown the door. I very rarely see senior officers leaving these organisations and making such shocking decisions. And until we start seeing that, I don't know whether we're going to see the change we want, Tom.
So, Oliver, just quickly and finally, you say even with this very damning report and the horror story of Sarah Everard, you're not confident things will change?
trust and confidence is at an all-time low. And I really feel for frontline police officers who are out there doing a fantastic job day in, day out, right? They're turning up to 99 calls. They're working relentless hours. They've got hundreds of investigations they're looking at, whilst their senior leaders are failing them and causing trust and confidence not even to move a fraction. It doesn't feel like we've moved anywhere. We've had any lessons from the Sarah Everard case, a tragic incidence of police failure around an individual who should not have been anywhere near a police uniform, let alone a police station who had his hand on a gun. And yet here we are, months later, years later, talking about the same issues once again.
Just the most astonishing story. Well, Oliver Lawrence, thank you indeed for discussing it with us, Managing Director of the Public Safety Foundation and a former police officer, of course.
You know what, Tom? I mean, this is Good Afternoon Britain, good, but I just feel the stories we're covering today are just I just feel like we're not important. Ordinary people aren't important.
Well, we should say that in response to this review, the Assistant Metropolitan Police Commissioner Rachel Williams said this.
In publishing this report today, we are being open and transparent about past vetting and recruitment practices that led, in some cases, to unsuitable people joining the Met.
We found that some historical practices did not meet the strengthened hiring and vetting standards we have today. We've identified these issues ourselves and have fixed them quickly while making sure any risk to the public has been properly and effectively managed.
OK, well, this is Good Afternoon Britain at GB News, and there's lots more coming up on today's show.
But before we get to that, let's get a roundup of your latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. The top stories. Ministers are to U-turn on rising business rates for pubs, with a new support package to be announced in the coming days. Pubs have been facing the prospect of much higher business rates after the Chancellor announced plans to end COVID-era discounts at her budget in November. Kemi Badenoch saying it's too little, too late. A review has found that thousands of recruits joined the Met Police Force without undergoing proper checks as bosses abandoned national guidelines amid efforts to meet the Tory government's policy to recruit 20,000 police officers in England and Wales. A weather bomb is set to bring heavy snowfall and gale-force winds to the UK as Storm Goretti hits. A rare red warning for dangerous stormy winds has now been issued by the Met Office for Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly this evening. Those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, there's more news at 3 o'clock with Sam Francis.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Well, thank you, Tatiana, for that. Lots more still to come.
Yeah, and just quickly, all those coppers are straight out of uni, no life experience at all. Keep the messages coming in. Lots of you getting involved in that conversation.
Now, we're also talking about a new drama which is set to portray the disgraced former BBC presenter Hugh Edwards, with Martin Clunes taking the lead role. We'll debate whether it's too soon for this sort of drama.
All of that and much more to come. This is GB News at Britain's news channel. I'm getting told by our director, so we'll see you soon.
Hello, very good day to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Storm Goretti's already started to push its way in, and it's bringing some wet, yes, but also very windy and snowy weather as we go through the rest of today. The feature itself is deepening rapidly. It's going through explosive cyclogenesis as it heads towards the UK, which is why it's going to bring such wet, such windy and snowy weather, particularly to the southern half of the UK. Further north, it's actually largely dry through today, just some showers here or there and across parts of Scotland. They could be a bit wintry. Also a good deal of sunshine, some clearer skies across northern parts of Scotland, but a chilly day, temperatures struggling to get above freezing in some places, milder further south and west, but obviously feeling pretty unpleasant with the wet, the windy and the wintry for some weather pushing its way in. Through this evening, it's largely dry into the day across much of Scotland, but some coastal showers and they could still be wintry. Early frost and temperatures continuing to plummet overnight with largely clear skies here. Cloudier as we head further south, and then we really feel the impacts of Storm Goretti across much of, well, the Midlands, Wales. Here the rain falling as snow, some significant snow building up. We're talking 20-30 centimetres in places with an amber warning out. Also strong winds across parts of the southwest, in particular gusts of around 100 miles per hour. It could really be a very windy event indeed. The feature itself does start to clear away towards the east, but nonetheless an unsettled night to come for many of us. Just staying dry towards the north across parts of Scotland. You may be wondering what all the fuss is about. As we go through tomorrow, eastern areas staying very wet, rainfall building up, and that could cause some issues, some localised flooding and travel disruption. Drier further west, but still some showery outbreaks of rain, but some glimmers of sunshine towards the west, and winds markedly lighter than today. Temperatures still on the low side, especially towards the north.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News every week.
You're not only watching and listening to our programmes, you're becoming part of them too.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M74 is closed southbound between Junction 14 and Junction 16 after multiple incidents, so allow extra time or seek an alternative route. In Durham, delays remain on the A19 northbound between the A179 and the A181, where a broken-down vehicle has shut one of two lanes. Also, the M60 anti-clockwise between Junction 1 and Junction 25 is closed in all lanes due to a police incident, with long tailbacks likely. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast and Chiltern Railways say Storm Goretti may impact your journey. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 36 minutes past 2. Is that OK? You'd like it to be accurate? OK.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, it's 36 and 45 seconds past 2, but...
I have to put up with here. See what
we'll do milliseconds next time.
Yeah, OK, right. OK, shut up, Tom. Now, the next story we're discussing, the downfall of disgraced presenter Hugh Edwards is set to be dramatised for a new television series.
Well, Martin Clunes has been cast to play the disgraced BBC anchor for a two-part Channel 5 drama.
Yeah, it comes just a year and a half after Hugh Edwards pleaded guilty to making indecent images of children.
So, has the television drama come all too soon? We're now joined by media commentator Nigel Pooley and the former BBC current affairs producer John Mayer. Nigel, let's start with you. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's called The Reckoning. It could be called Groundhog Day, actually, couldn't it? Because the BBC made the same old mistakes years after years after years, failing to spot wrong-uns in their midst, from Savile to Harris, via Stuart Hall. Edwards, that picture, by the way, Martin Clunes looks, for people of a certain age, looks like Enoch Powell to me in that still you had there. I'm not sure that'll flatter him too much, but some would say that they have very similar effects on lots of the country. It is too soon. The BBC waited for Savile, the biggest sex offender in the country, wasn't he, at the time? Even that, they had the decency to have 12 years before they actually came out with a drama with Steve Coogan. That was called The Reckoning. This one is the downfall of Hugh Edwards, who let the nation down. He was the man who was trusted with the news for 20 years. He announced the Queen's death. He was fooling people in plain sight. He was leading more than a double life. Do we really want to celebrate that? Will we have is it too soon for a drama about Gary Glitter? Probably. I personally think it's too soon. Do a true crime drama on how the BBC missed what was going on there, why he was involved, and do a piece about people who are attracted to children.
No, that might be you. But let's pass over to John Mayer now. What's your opinion?
Oh dear, sorry, being on this programme is like being on talking to the speaking clock. I mean, that man has missed the point, hasn't he? You know, he's been tried in the court of public opinion. He's been tried in the courts. You know, he's been tried everywhere. It's all in the open. Now, the one thing this might do is shame him into repaying the money that he took from the BBC when he knew and they knew he was being charged. I think it's about £200,000. He needs to pay that back and pay it back quickly. But, you know, the man is finished. So why not have a drama? And do I think Martin Clunes is the right person? I don't know. He doesn't look anything like him. But, you know, if Toby Young can play Alan Rusbridger, why not Martin Clunes play Hugh Edwards?
I think that man, by the way, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I personally don't think that. I think do a true crime drama, do a factual fact about Hugh Edwards to expose that. I don't see how a drama written with the Sun Investigations team and the guy who writes for Coronation Street is actually the in-depth thing that you claim it might be. He hasn't been shamed in all this time to pay back 200 grand. I don't think a drama's going to make him shamed into doing it. He spent some of that 200 profile pictures not long ago.
Well, I mean, all the facts are out in the open. I mean, let's not use this as another stick to bash the BBC, shall we? You know, the guy's been convicted all over. The guy down on the ground. The facts are all there. What facts are there to establish? So of course they can make a drama about it. You know, and you know, a shame the BBC hasn't shown it, but there we go.
Is that not kicking a man while he's down? I mean, he's already down. He's already at the bottom. What's the point of making it? We all know that he's a wrong. We all know that he was convicted.
He's well and truly down. You know, he's been. I mean, perhaps I should join Lee Anderson. Lee Anderson refused to pay his licence fee because he said the BBC is full of perverts and he's not going to watch it.
I pay my licence fee. I like the BBC. It's got nothing to do with that. It's about a sex offender being dramatised with Martin Clunes, a well-loved light entertainer, dramatic from Doc Martin, Men Behaving Badly, which is probably more apt. Written by a Coronation Street writer. If that's not exactly, you know, if you're looking at not this gratuitous, I think I've got the no word. I think it's gratuitous that you're looking for, Mr. Mayor. It's a gratuitous drama on Channel 5.
Sad to me is that you're worried it might be too popular. Written by a Coronation Street writer, you know, directed by a well-known director, starring Martin Clunes. You know, what's not to like about that? You know, come on. You know,
well, the subject is probably not to like. Probably the subject. Well, like.
I mean, I can't help if you appointed yourself Hugh Edwards as PR man, but you know, the subject is out there in the open.
John, can I just ask, what about the victims? What about the victims' families?
What about the victims? The victims don't want to be identified, as you know. I mean, the family don't want to be identified. So, and they came forward, remember? The family came forward to the BBC and indeed to the Sun. So, you know, all crimes have victims, but how do you get around that? But please don't use this as another stick to beat the BBC. They're in enough trouble already. They're at a crisis point with a licence-free crisis point with the charter. You know, let's preserve the BBC. Let's not keep bashing it.
Nigel?
Well, it's a bit difficult not to bash the BBC when their highest-paid £500,000 a year newsreader is exposed as lying to both the BBC, his family. Making pornographic images of young children, asking young men for sexual favours on the internet, all the while announcing the death of the Queen. Now, I would suggest that I'm not bashing the BBC. The BBC do a pretty good job of shooting themselves in the foot, John. Mr. Mayor, sorry.
They did. Nobody denies that. This was a big BBC own goal, which they should have spotted. They spotted it when he got charged. They should at that point have come into the open and said, he's been charged, he's out the door. Not continue to pay him. That was very, very wrong. You're
bashing the BBC now, then?
No, I'm not. I'm saying they didn't do it right. You know. There's better ways of doing it. Look, I should look forward to seeing this. I'm not sure Martin Clunes is the right person. You know, let's do a bit of casting. Who could we cast as Hugh Edwards? You know, why not the man from Port Talbot, the actor from Port Talbot, and anybody with a Welsh accent? You know, it'll be entertaining. And by the way, Channel 5, I think, have been economical with the truth. They've obviously made this programme. Not that they are making it. They've made it.
It has been made. John, sorry to interrupt. Can I just ask what you're looking forward to seeing in particular?
I'm looking forward to seeing what Hugh Edwards got up to. I mean, people in the newsroom said he was a law to himself. You know, and nasty to women. You know, how did he do this? How did he not get found out? You know, he took a train to Cardiff Station to meet this kid. How did he not get found out? That's the astonishing thing.
So someone must have known.
Yeah. Do you need a drama?
I I think dramas expose things that factual programs always can't.
But we already know that. You already know that. You just said what happened. The question should be,
Nigel, what do you make of this point that sometimes a television drama does elevate a story? For example, the Postmasters scandal. Now, this was all in the public domain. There'd been select committees in Parliament drag these people across the coals. But it wasn't until ITV made that drama that actually it then became the massive issue that the payment of the compensation was expedited, that the victims were helped out. Sometimes television does have that power.
It does have that power, and that most of this drama again was some years, sadly, after the actual victims were there. It wasn't within 18 months of it happening. Some of the people sadly were dead who were involved in that, and that was an exceptional drama. I'm not sure a Channel 5 drama written, brilliant writers.
You keep going on about the Coronation Street writer. I mean, look, a man's got to make a living, so he writes Coronation Street.
I'm not knocking it. You mentioned earlier some of the journalists, some of the good journalists who were there at the BBC. I would quite like to see a drama written by people who knew Hugh Edwards, who worked with Hugh Edwards, and perhaps at the BBC, because they would have the insight that possibly someone who works at Coronation Street wouldn't have. Now, I agree with you that Martin Clunes may or may not be the right person. He's a brilliant actor. I'm sure we'll believe he is Hugh Edwards, whatever the accent. My concern is...
Why did they get Hugh Edwards' wife to write it? She was the one who outed him, and she edited the Preston programme, so she knows Hugh Edwards better than anybody else. Look,
gentlemen, we could talk about this all afternoon. I'm afraid we have run to the end of the segment, but thank you hugely to both Nigel Pawley and John Mayer for talking through this contentious issue. I'm sure lots of opinions for you at home too.
Very, very interesting comments there. Let us know what you think. GBNews.com/your say. Now, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, the government's new pledge to back British farmers will speak directly to farmers about whether those plans could really deliver.
But if you are in search of some holiday sun, I couldn't blame you one jot. Here is the forecast for the top European holiday destinations.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The cold winds and the snow not just confined to the UK. In and around the Mediterranean, pretty blustery, and some heavy snow likely over the Alps. First really big dumps for some here of the winter. Some showery rain for the Algarve. It's generally fine in the Canaries. Showery rain moving into Italy and across Croatia and further south too for Greece. We'll continue to see the weather pretty mixed in Italy with further showers and some gusty cold winds to come. The weather remains pretty fine in Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just gone 10 to 3.
Yeah, now farmers, take my glasses off. Farmers have been gathering in Oxford city centre today where they've been protesting outside the Oxford Farming Conference.
Well, protests are led by the Berkshire Farmers Group, who say that the government's revised £2.5 million threshold for inheritance tax doesn't go far enough for many family farms.
The Environment Secretary, Emma Reynolds, has set out a new era of partnership between a government and farmers aimed at boosting profits.
Well, joining us from the protest, or at least where the protest was, is our national reporter, Jack Carson. Jack.
Thank you. So, well, the farmers have long gone now here from their protesting, but believe me, they could be heard, and they certainly made their voices heard today on the High Street here in Oxford. Behind me is the venue where the Secretary of State, Emma Reynolds, was talking to farmers here at the Oxford Farming Conference. She told them in the room that the government was serious about a partnership with the sector, that the government was backing them to grow with confidence and resilience. She said that since starting her role as Secretary of State, of course, replacing Steve Reed at the end of last year, she said that she has listened to farmers, particularly making the point around inheritance tax, where of course that threshold was raised to £2.5 million or £5 million for couples. But it's clear here from the blasting of the horns, from the protests, from the signs of no farms, no food that we've seen so commonly over the past year since the changes to inheritance tax were announced by the Labour government in that budget, that it hasn't necessarily gone down well. And certainly the farmers we've spoken to today, it seems like they haven't done enough. Here's what some farmers told us earlier on.
I think, to be honest with you, that we can believe anything that government tells us anymore. Look what happened with the last SFI scheme. It literally closed overnight. Nobody can trust them. Nobody can believe anything they say. We don't want subsidies. We need proper support.
Just want them to listen, and then they might start gaining trust. If they'll just listen to us, they're still not listening.
Their policies are ruining the countryside from one end to the other. It doesn't matter what they're doing, everything they're doing is against countryside and farming.
So it's clear that the Secretary of State says that she wants to boost profitability for farmers. They, though, are not convinced.
Jack Carson, thanks indeed for being there for us and reporting on that protest earlier today.
Yeah, and that's it for today. Thanks very much for watching. It's Good Afternoon Britain. Don't go anywhere. Martin's up next. We are back tomorrow doing
we are
it
indeed.
all
Dream
again.
team.
Have a good afternoon. We'll see you later.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good afternoon to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Storm Goretti has already started to batter parts of the UK, and it's going to bring some further heavy rain, significant snow to central parts and damaging winds, especially in the southwest. This feature has deepened rapidly as it's made its way towards the UK and is crossing eastwards across southern parts. We have a rare red wind warning out for parts of Cornwall. Around the coast, we're looking at gusts of 80 to 100 miles per hour. These are damaging winds and are going to cause some significant issues. As the rain pushes its way further northwards, we're seeing some snow falling across some central areas. That's going to intensify as we go overnight. Meanwhile, across northern parts of the UK, it's actually largely dry through the rest of today. Just a few showers in coastal parts. But with clear skies, it is going to turn quickly cold here again overnight. As I mentioned, significant snow building up across parts of Wales and the Midlands. Could see 20 to 30 centimetres of snow, so that's going to cause some significant disruption. All the while, Storm Goretti gradually pushes away towards the east. In the south, temperatures are generally going to drop to around freezing, but in the north they could get into negative double figures. So a very cold, frosty, icy and a bit snowy where there's lying snow start to the day here.